gather round, get a little closer, feel that sound. Everybody here is one family, and we all need the same basic things. Don't listen to the ones trying to keep us apart. Listen to your soul, feel the beat of our heart as it resonates to us all. As if we give each other strength, inspire one another to do our best, and we all learn to love and have fun. Put forth the positive light to shine through the night. Nothing is how simple life really was. Instead of sitting around with family, there was individuals sitting around boxes with screens, and they forgot how to grow their own food. And hunting was replaced by practices which were cruel, and everything seemed to be divided by plastic made with petrochemical oil, which was extremely toxic. And these people also ran their cars on that oil, which polluted the air and the water and the soil. But the ones who benefited didn't care about the earth. They were only interested in how much the oil was worth. When they started running out, they started fighting for control to secure the world's supply. Petroleum was their goal, so they assembled their armies, and their wars destroyed life. They hid the truth from the people, kept it out of their sights. And millions of people were betrayed by these lies, convinced to kill each other and watch each other die. Entire cultures were destroyed before our very eyes. We just sat around and watched the fire falling from the sky. But all the time we knew that it could happen to us. We were living in fear, and we were on the same bus. By invading other people, we created more enemies, but they believed that they were doing it to make themselves free. This is the world that I grew up in, so you understand my brain when it begins to spin. Searching for solutions, a better way to be, and I think much clearer when I begin to breathe. So I breathe. Breathe in the air. Yeah, take a deep breath. It's everywhere. Heal my spirit, heal my body, heal my soul. I know who I am, consciousness spinning through sacred air. The healers, whatever your call is, actualize and realize, become here to balance these violent times. Warriors of peace and ambassadors of love, always staying centered when push comes to shove. Third eye wide open and dancing to music, accepting our power, knowing how to use it. Coming together, we circle the globe, seeing the oneness, our chakras are glowing. Our vibrations where we want it to be, keep it high, you know how it feels to be free. All you gotta do to understand these ways is breathe real deep and enjoy each day. Work selflessly with others and we're lost by together. Tomorrow is now and there's beautiful weather, so breathe. Breathe in the air. Yeah, take a deep breath. It's everywhere. Heal my spirit. Heal my body. Heal my soul. Oh, I know who I am. Consciousness spinning through sacred air. So breathe. Breathe in the air. Take a deep breath. It's everywhere. Heal my spirit. Heal my body. Heal my soul. I know who I am. Consciousness spinning through sacred air.
Haven't got a lot to give, but I got a life to live, and I know you've got yours. If life went on forever, well, then I'd never slam all those doors. I'd like to thank the Academy for totally ignoring the performance of my life. Some comedy, some tragedy, acted out in obscurity. Unfortunately, I could not play it twice. But as it is, I find myself on the wrong side of the wall. As it is, I can't remember how I took this fall. As it is, all signs point to me taking the blame for believing in the sacred, but living the profane. Like to share my anxiety on the state of humanity, never knowing if you're gonna live or die. In circumstances such as these, you're better off to try to please a winner without taking sides. But as it is, I find myself on the wrong side of the wall. As it is, I can't remember how I took this fall. As it is, all signs point to me taking the blame for believing in the sacred, but living the profane. I find myself on the wrong side of the wall. As it is, I can't remember how I took this fall. As it is, all signs point to me taking the blame for believing in the sacred, but living the profane. Believing in the sacred, but living the profane.
Yes, believing in the sacred and profane. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear anything? Well, maybe it's just the volume on. Hello, hello? No?
Nope.
Oh.
I can hear myself now.
You can't hear yourself?
I can.
You can?
Yep.
Well, that's good. You just can't hear me.
Yep. Good morning, folks.
My headset is acting up. I can hear me, though. I can hear like an echo of me.
Well, I can hear you normally.
No, I can hear me through the headset. Something's
All right.
not very loud.
So anyway, folks, it's Wednesday. Ow.
Sorry. You talk.
I just lost my eardrum.
Oh, I'm hearing you through your speaker. My set's not working.
No.
Peter, please go on.
Okay, and I said it's Wednesday, May 11th. It's our normal LCM talk show coming live from our studios in Lower Lake.
Hi, everybody.
I'm Pete the Tax Guy, and next to me is my beautiful wife, Terri Larsen, who is trying to fix some audio problems on her headset. So, we have a nice, interesting show today. We're going to be covering some local subjects and some breaking news out of Clear Lake. And we have candidate Jim Ryan for District 1 coming on our show at approximately 10 o'clock.
Am I there? Oh,
There you go.
Good.
He
I
works-
tell you, there's loose connections.
Yeah, he
on
works
this
the
one.
graveyard shift, so when he comes on in, he's going to have minimal or no sleep at all.
And there'll be no snoring allowed.
But no, so I'll keep him awake with my questions, I guess. So it'll be a good show with him. He is running against several candidates down there. We've seen him at some of the forums, and he is law enforcement, so it'll be interesting to see his take on what's happening here in Lake County and what his viewpoints are on our law enforcement here locally.
Yeah, and it's going to be kind of interesting.
I think so.
Definitely.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so go. It's your show, as I say.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
It's only my show when you have nothing to say. Come on, let's
Well, I got
not.
plenty to say.
Well, get started.
I'm just not allowed to say it.
I'm trying to get settled in
Oh, are
here.
you?
I'm a
Okay.
little, I'm a little discombobulated.
I'm sorry. So I hope everyone had a nice Mother's Day out there. It was a reasonably nice weather. I actually did some.
It was one of my favorite Mother's Days, I have to say.
I'm glad to hear that. I did some
As
work
hokey as it was.
around the house to get ready for some evaluation stuff going on, and we're one step away from closing on our new building.
Oh, thank you, Jesus.
And I found the articles.
I knew you would.
I knew where exactly
They
where
don't
they were.
belong where they are.
Yeah, they were.
No, they belong here
No, they don't.
with everybody else.
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
It's up to you.
Because there's other stuff
okay.
in there.
I'm not going to
Thank you.
discuss it on the air.
Did I know where it was?
Yes, you
Thank
did.
you. That's all that matters. Right next to my mother's stuff
Aha.
for trust stuff. And
Oh,
everything.
that's good. Well,
Yeah.
no, you
That's why I
don't
know
need to
where it
go into detail,
Okay.
dear.
I won't. So anyway, last Thursday, I'm losing track of time, we did the District 4 forum. and that's up on our magazine site, lakevilleMagazine.com. Just click on political forums and look for 2016, and you'll see all the forums listed there from District 1, District 4, District 5, and District 1 and 4, District 1 and 5 combined. We have 4 of them.
Hey, what was that again?
District 1,
I
District
know. What were you talking about? What is
on
it?
the political
Oh, the
forums.
videos. Yeah. Oh, my gosh.
Okay.
Well, I told you I had some
Yeah,
things
that's
to
right.
get ready.
Well, let me do my thing then.
So I am trying, but I'm also trying to listen at the same time. It's called multitasking.
You're trying to multitask?
I do better multitasking than you do.
Bull.
So do not. What?
Bull.
You got to be kidding me.
Do you know what I do at my desk every day
Do you know
in
what
multitasking?
I do at my desk every day?
Play on Facebook.
Besides that, 12 other things in addition to that. That's why
And-
I'm on Facebook in between things when I'm
see.
waiting for calls or not making calls or whatever it is that I'm doing at the moment.
If I didn't multitask.
Honey, let's face it, we're both multitaskers.
Okay, thank you. Yes, yes. So, anyway, the District 4 forum last Thursday was held at the courthouse. We had all of our candidates there, and I have to apologize. I cannot remember all the names. I just remember their faces. We had Phil Murphy there. We had Martin Shield there. And I thought you remembered all of them.
Of the District
Yeah.
4? Yeah.
Okay.
It's Ron Rose,
Yes.
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 And then there was Ted
Yes.
Madronis.
Mendronis, that's it. I just
Yes,
couldn't remember.
Mendronis.
Right. So
Yes.
it was an interesting forum. Absolutely, totally distinct personalities among all of them. And I actually liked, just from a personal point of view, Mr. Rose. He's a older gentleman. I assume he's retired at his age at this point. And even though he came across as a old country boy, he actually had some good points. I actually met him outside the courthouse or in the hallway there, and he fooled me because the good old draw accent went away, and I realized how intelligent he really was when he got away from the forum for whatever reason. So I was actually kind of liking the guy and somewhat impressed with him because he didn't pull any punches. He said what he said.
He was cool. He was really the typical, I don't want to use the word redneck.
No.
'Cause I don't think he's that. I mean, he is a good old boy.
A good old
type.
rural farming boy.
Type.
Yes.
Yeah, I don't want to say he's one of the good old boys because he's obviously not. He's not part of the local GOB system. And then, go from there.
And he didn't have any fluff to his comments. It is what it is, and he had some ideas about the pressing issues of Lake County, and as I said, he just no fancy terminology, no rehearsed speech. He just answered the questions as they came across. Unlike Ted Condron, I apologize. Mandronis. In my personal opinion, in being there, he seemed like he had everything written down in front of him, and that every time a question came up,
he was way too prepared. I did not like and he got mad when he ran out of time and he
Yes.
wasn't allowed to continue.
Yeah.
I didn't think his behavior was very
Yeah, he wasn't spontaneous. He
conducive
didn't
for a
have
community
everything
person.
in his brain cells, knowing what he wanted to do and how he wanted to go about it. It was strictly, okay, what do I have written down? And at times he lost his place, and he had to go back down and read his information there.
right.
And he never looked at the camera. His head was always down. He was not looking at the people in attendance.
Right. Oh, he didn't look anybody in the eye,
No.
I don't think.
And we had a full courthouse there, basically.
It was.
People were standing up in the back, and so
it was really good.
Yeah.
I mean, I give the chamber kudos. They got the word out, and we were able to do our part, too, by
right.
videotaping it.
Right.
So, just really have to say that we appreciate what they're doing and trying to keep the public informed.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's a
And,
good thing. And we were going to do those this year, but and granted, there were some questions that were submitted that they didn't ask on purpose, and so I feel like next year we still should do our own because the hard questions are still not being asked at this point. So I would like to, plan better next year to do them, or
Actually,
not
2
next
years.
election, 2 years from now,
Right.
to do the forums as we have done in the past I was hoping that the chamber would be a little more open-minded and allow questions of certain, what do you want to say, controversy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
controversial
I really
questions.
thought that they would be much more open-minded than they have been.
Well, maybe we should move to Clear Lake District so I can run. Oh
Oh,
boy. Yeah, never mind.
I am not living in Clear Lake. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. That's all
But
right.
there is breaking news from Clear
Yep,
Lake.
go for it.
Seems another city council person has decided to move out of Clear Lake.
Oh, that's what you call
Now,
it.
this is just a rumor, folks. We haven't confirmed it or anything. But the word is that councilperson Gina Fortino Dixon may have decided to move to Windsor, in which case she now will not be eligible to sit on the council, obviously is not a resident. So we also have Denise Lusolo, who former mayor, who resigned, and Gina's the assistant mayor right now.
Oh gosh.
Or vice mayor,
Vice
or whatever
mayor,
they
right.
call it. So
So but Lucelo only moved they're just a few just outside the borders, right, of Clear Lake.
yeah,
So that doesn't make any sense to me. Why would they move just
because she doesn't want to be in politics anymore.
Oh,
Come
she got her
on.
butt kicked too much?
I think so. I
That's-
think they want to get back to living a normal life. They were nice people before they got into politics.
That's true. They were. No, that's pretty much
Yeah.
true. They just
I
did
mean,
their
that's
own
what
thing.
happens to people. Politics changes them.
Yeah, well, they got
So.
their little egos going because they think they're somebody special, and we know better. So, yeah, so that'd be interesting. There is a city council meeting tomorrow evening, correct? Yes.
City council meeting,
Clear Lake.
it's Thursday night,
Yes,
yes.
tomorrow
And they're
night.
going to select the replacement for Denise.
Right.
There's 4 candidates, and if you guys give me a minute, I'll pull up the news release on that. But 2 of them are Akila now Markowski, married to Alan Markowski, one of our coworkers here in the video, and Joey Lewis is also up for the post, and 2 other people I'm not familiar with, but we'll name them off in a minute
Right.
when I pull the email up. But yeah, so that's going to be an interesting. Staff has already done their research. I guess they have their preferences. And I think Akila would make a perfect candidate.
Yeah.
She's studying for her master's
Master-
degree.
almost got
She
there.
goes to every single city council meeting. She's always involved in what's going on in the community. And the woman is brilliant. And we'd be a fool not to take advantage of her time.
Right. And with Joey Lewis not trying to get into any of his past is that he has a very good full-time job with the Board of Equalization, and I'm not sure how much time he can spend
Well, that's
on
the
city
problem.
business.
He's in Sacramento a lot, too,
Right.
isn't he?
So, yes, he is. So I'm not quite sure how he's going to be able to represent Clear Lake while he's working full-time.
What's the name of our new menu on the front page that has all the forms?
Political forms.
Okay, so if everybody goes to lakecomagazine.com, they can find the political forums button on the front page of the magazine, and there's a drop-down menu, and you have 2016, and we're working on 2015.
Right, and
Actually,
14.
it should have been. There wasn't any election last year. It was 2014. We didn't do anything because
Yeah,
it
but
was just
I
a school
have-
board issue.
But I have some other like Clear Lake issues and Lakeport issue video that
Okay.
I'm putting up there.
I think it's great, and I appreciate you doing that because people need to know, and even a year later, people still need to know because
Yes.
these people are in office for 4 years or sometimes longer. So
And talking about that, folks, videoing and also listening to the forums the last month or so, it raised some interesting questions in my feeble brain. And what I'm going to do is go back to the 2014 interviews and forums that we were present at, and go through the platforms of all the individual candidates that were running and that were elected during that time span, and see what they're doing today, and finding out if they've kept their word, followed through on what they say they were going to do, what progress they made, and see if we can hold them accountable for their campaign promises. So the next couple of weeks, in my spare time in the evening as I'm having my lovely hot cup of coffee, I think I'm going to be doing that because it'll be very interesting.
very,
Absolutely.
very.
So, and I'll give kudos if it's what necessary, and I'll call them out if it is necessary. Which I don't know why we'd ever do that.
That clock is still an hour.
No, you
slow.
have not replaced the battery.
I
It is-
did. I put a brand new
Oh, you
battery in
did?
it. You
Oh,
see
you
it's
just haven't
moving?
changed it. The
I
25 is
changed
right.
the time, but I got the wrong hour.
Yeah, you did.
We're running an hour early, guys.
Well, we're back on standard time, and our puppies are here with our being our warning system. Now, if we could attach mini wireless cameras to them, we know exactly what would be going on. That's an idea. Get little those spy cameras, put them on their collar.
Oh, wouldn't that be funny?
I think
Well, they
that'd be-
can't see anybody because the door's locked.
No, but they see outside the curtains.
That's, yeah, sometimes.
Yes. Anyway, sorry. Rambling,
Sometimes they
folks.
just bark at the air, too.
Yeah, they do. Seems like every night after we go to bed, once, probably about an hour or so, they're at the patio door just barking their heads off. We are making the assumption it's our feral cats that we feed at night that come back so they know they're safe. The puppies are inside and they have plenty of food out on the table. But we don't know. Could be a raccoon. Could be a fox. Could be a burglar. Who knows? So let's talk about your Mother's Day brunch.
Please. That was, again,
Well,
one of my best Mother's Days
okay.
yet. And it was such a simple one.
Yeah, let's start
Let's
off.
start with Friday night.
Go ahead. That was so disappointing.
So my husband is a wonderful man.
Nah.
And we don't like go out drinking or dancing or anything. God, I wish I could get him to dance.
I'm a
Or
horrible
anything
dancer.
like that. We basically, sorry, couldn't see there for a minute.
Your hair get in the way?
No, it's worse than that.
Oh, okay.
So anyway, we don't go to the movies. We wait for them to come on Roku or TV or whatever. And the only thing we really do for fun outside of going to musical events is eat out.
And baseball.
And baseball. That's your entertainment.
That's
and
mine.
my entertainment is doing my show. So,
Right.
And a few other things.
No comment.
Anyway, so we decided that we were looking for Sunday buffets, and we realized that the Shokawa Casino still has their seafood buffet on Friday nights. So, he never gets me a gift or anything really. We just do dinner, and maybe he might give me a couple dollars to gamble with or something.
Well, there's nothing.
But
for
I
me
don't
to-
expect a gift because
it's-
I don't need anything. And the last thing in the world I want is flowers or chocolates. I mean, I
Oh,
love
chocolates.
but I already have so many chocolates from Easter leftovers and things, so I don't really need anything like that. So he took us to Shokawa Friday night, and they had their buffet. The crab was absolutely stunning. It was delivered by the plate. The waitress would get you one, and when you finished the one you had, which I think was very good because there was no waste. You go to these snow crab all-you-can-eats at some of these casinos, and there's just piles of crab that people are throwing away. And so I love that idea.
And it
the
was all
crab
you
came
can
out
eat.
steaming hot. It was all you can eat. It was a $20 buffet, so I felt that was very reasonable. And the peel and eat shrimp were gigantic. They were very well cooked. They were not deveined, but there were no veins in them.
No.
I guess they starved the shrimp before they killed them or something to empty out their system. But it was really good. I mean, some people don't like shellfish, and I gave it up for a while myself, but I was just really impressed with that. The rest of the buffet,
It was horrible.
it was horrible. It was just horrible. There wasn't anything that hadn't been sitting out for at least. We came in about 8 o'clock. They closed at 10, and everything was dried, coagulated. The spaghetti was actually been sitting there so long they had a seafood pasta, and the pasta had gotten hard on the outside edges. The desserts were just horrible.
Yeah, I went at the end to get some dessert, like I think it was black blueberry cobbler. and
Hard
it was-
as a rock. I couldn't
hard.
believe that. Everything.
And the server told us that I asked, "Hey, you guys been busy?" And she kind of gave me one of those looks. No, our clientele base has dropped horribly. We're not very busy at all. And I said, "Why?" I said, "Well, we're losing business to everyone else."
It's just really sad
Yeah.
because what it does is, it lowers the expectations. The Hopland Grade is a horrible drive. I mean, in our little car it was nice because we have a little Mercedes sports car, but normal people in big cars, you could fall off the edge without even looking. And it is considered one of the top 5
Dangerous.
most dangerous roads in the world. Okay, this is no joke. So, that was, you risk your life getting there, and then when you get there, you get a mediocre to low quality. If it wasn't for the crab and the shrimp, I would have felt like we got ripped off.
Absolutely. However, you had what, about 3 crabs?
Yeah.
I had about 5.
2 to 3, yeah.
So it was worth it from that point of view. And I said the peeling shrimp was excellent too, cold and fresh. But I don't think I'd ever go back again.
No,
I really
not
wouldn't.
even just eat crab.
Well, now that we know the expectations,
Yeah, I mean, I would spend $20 just to eat crab.
Well, absolutely, with the
Yeah.
amount we eat. So, I
Yeah,
guess I
it's
would go
worth it
back
for that.
if that's all I ate.
Yeah, and probably get there early.
We got there at 8 o'clock. This means 2 hours before closing.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
That's
just-
true. But it's obvious that they put it out for the night until it's gone, and
Yeah.
if nobody shows up, then it won't be gone. So, if you get there at say 6 or 7, you probably
might
will
be.
get a fresher.
Right. It was interesting. Everyone just raves about, was it tri-tip around this county?
Yeah.
Everyone
oh,
just
the tri-tip
loves
he had was
tri-tip.
horrible.
And Terry doesn't eat meat, but I like it occasionally. So I went to the tri-tip where they slice it to order. And it was hard enough to get someone to slice it because they were all talking back there among the help. And I finally got it, and he sliced me 2 or 3 slices.
That was the other
and-
thing. The service was also mediocre.
Yeah, and it was medium, which I don't mind occasionally, but it was tough and cold, and it was not very good at all. So that was Friday night, and we only did that because we were at home Friday. We were thinking about what for dinner, and we were looking for a place to eat on brunch Sunday, and we saw the Hopling buffet. He said, "Oh, what the hell? We might as well go. We live once." And unfortunately, I should have said, screw it, not go, and just have food at
No,
home.
I'm glad we went because now we were able to tell people, what is up.
And you did a review on the restaurant review page on Facebook for Lake County? Is that what it's called?
Say it again.
What's the page on Facebook called for the restaurant review?
Lake County Restaurant
Thank you.
Reviews.
What do I know?
And yeah, we had a good discussion there about clam chowder because the clam chowder at Hopland was full of pork, and I'm finding out that a lot of people think that's the way real New England clam
In this
chowder
part
is
of the
made.
country, yes.
No, but there was a couple of real culinary people, chefs and stuff, and on this list, and they were saying that, one lady went and Googled it, and she said 9 out of the 10 recipes said some kind of pork. And then the culinary person said when she went to school, that's what they taught her. It's always, you always use fat back. And I said, yeah, well, I believe that it was a habit from the old mining days because the miners always had salt pork on them. So I figured that would be where it originated from. And maybe it was miners on the East Coast, but where I lived in Pennsylvania and going up into New England, nobody puts pork in their freaking clam chowder.
Not that I know
To
of.
me, that is just a sacrilege. And there's so many people that don't eat pork. People with religious preferences, the Jewish, the Muslims, the Rastas. There's all kinds of people that won't eat pork based on health and also religious reasons, so spiritual reasons. So I think that they're missing out on a huge audience of people. We have a deli around the corner, Sammy's Deli, and he doesn't put pork in his clam chowder. His clam chowder is actually really good. Okay, so we're being rated.
Not by the
If you
cops,
come
though.
in this door, you have to sit there. Okay.
I don't know why he's here. He's not running for office. When he was running for office, he stopped by every show just to put his presence there.
Click your mic on. Check your mic, see if it's on. Well, you turn the switch.
No, there's
Here.
no switch on that one.
Oh, there's no switch on that
No.
one? Are you sure?
Yep.
Ah, interesting. Okay, let me try the other control. Oh, wait, I think it's
Oh,
there.
here you go. There you go.
Go ahead, speak. Hello. Arf, arf. No.
It's on.
Okay. There was
There
a
you go.
button
Now I
on
hear
it.
him. There you
There
go.
was a button on it, wasn't it?
Okay.
Yeah.
I know my microphone's dear.
Speak closely to it.
Get closer.
Speak into the mic.
So how are you guys today?
We're doing good. We're talking about my Mother's Day event.
Oh, I heard a little bit of that back there in the
Yes.
green
Yes.
No,
room.
the green.
I guess you can call it that.
Yeah, that's
Call it
the
anything
green
you
room.
want.
Green
It's
in
also
there,
the
but-
green screen room.
Right, yeah, right. I was looking for the green. So I don't know where it is.
No, we don't have any money around here.
I wish. And nothing to smoke either.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
Did you just say that?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
hey, it's green.
Hey,
Sometimes
free
it's
country,
brown.
right?
So welcome.
Thank you.
We're
Would you
just
like to-
finishing up part one of our
to
Mother's
tell
Day.
people
Oh,
who
yes.
he
By
is?
the way, this is John Brosman,
Oh,
a
hi.
former candidate for supervisor for District, what is it, 3?
District 3.
Pretty
Okay.
good on screen there.
Yeah, he looks
Oh,
good.
look at
Not
that.
bad for an
Oh,
old
my God,
man.
That's
Now,
a scary looking
remember that the
picture.
camera's there.
Oh,
so you
hi.
can actually-
Okay, that's
There you
better.
go.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
don't like looking at myself on
Neither do
TV.
I.
It's terrible.
Yes.
Right.
My hair never
So-
looks good enough. You know.
That's why I smoothed mine down with the headset.
There you go.
So
Hair?
you're
Yeah,
welcome
that's the
to
new
join
Metro
us.
Man. You know what I mean? My hair counts, right?
Hair?
Yeah, hair. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
still got some. I think.
We have Jim Ryan joining us at 10 o'clock.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad because I don't even know who he is.
Good. Well,
Never
you can
heard his
sit
name
in on the
before, but I drove on
conversation.
Spruce Grove Road,
Mm-hmm.
and I seen as we're coming down into Hidden Valley, I seen a little group, a cluster of homes there. So I guess he lives over in that area or has some friends there.
There's a bunch of signs.
Yeah, there's a
Oh.
little cluster. you
Okay.
know. So it'd be
That's
nice
good.
to hear who he is and what he has to say and what
Right.
his
Well,
options.
he's the third of the 4 candidates. We're still waiting
Mm-hmm.
for Monica, but we've already talked to Voris and to Moak.
Uh-huh.
And now Jim's the third, and we'll hopefully have
Mm-hmm.
Monica next week, and we'll have all of the District 1 candidates on here.
Right. I heard Moak and Voris and Monica for District 1 down in Middletown a week or so ago,
Yeah,
I guess.
you were-
you were
you
there.
were
Yeah,
there.
right. I saw, yeah.
Yeah, we're
Right.
trying to work on the audio. We had some audio problems on
Oh,
that,
okay.
so I have to restream it. We're going to do
Oh.
that hopefully on Friday.
I thought we already did that.
No, we restreamed the chamber one. That
Oh,
one, that one
oh,
got
oh, oh.
messed
So
up.
I thought that personally, I had asked another person there what they think, and they said, well, if you didn't know the candidates, certain ones would sound great. But in spite of that comment, I think that all the candidates did pretty well. And
Yeah, I thought so too.
Stating their positions and what their focus was, and I gotta tell you, the guy who sounded the best was Rob Brown. I mean, he seemed to be on top of it. He seemed to be on top of his responses.
Well, he's had
and-
16 years experience.
right.
Why
and it
wouldn't
shows.
he?
Well, it shows.
Unfortunately, he's just not a nice person. My opinion is, and unfortunately, he's my district.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't really have, I love Philip. He's a great guy. I just
Mm-hmm.
don't think he has the experience. I wouldn't vote for Brown either.
Mm-hmm.
So I may not even vote in my own district.
Whoa, that's not
Because,
good.
yeah, I don't support,
It's none of the above.
maybe I'll give Philip my vote just as a protest against Rob, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't think Philip has a chance because Rob has so much more experience. I think Philip's a really cool guy and he's really nice.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't know. He doesn't have any experience.
He
at
has
that
a
level.
one
And it's
issue
a one
campaign.
issue. He's a one-trick pony.
And well, I got to tell you, that pony does some really nice tricks, too.
Yeah, it's a smart thing to do, but it
Yeah.
can't be his only issue.
No, it can't be. But, it is an issue, and I'm grateful that the candidacy policies for allowing people to run allows everybody of every type of focus and everybody type of lifestyle. And as with Phil, I believe that his approach to a partial approach, certainly for the clean the waters up in the lake, is to, mitigate. I just bought 40 acres and I got a creek that I have to cross a bridge. And so that half of that creek's my responsibility.
Right,
Let-
exactly.
Let me interrupt you here for a second. When you were running against Mr. Steele, we had Jim on the show, and he kept on harping about what he had to do with the lake and all this and that. And I said to him, by the way, there's a scientist, I don't know what his background was, that was very familiar with Clear Lake because he worked in San Francisco, and now he's working in Australia on this very similar problems. And and I talked to him through one of my best friends that lives in Australia, obviously because he's Australian. And he said, yeah, this is what we use. I don't know the name of the product, but it was like you put in 1 gallon for every 100 square feet of lake. And Jim said, no, that doesn't work. It can't be done. And all of a sudden I gave him the name of everything. He said, oh, yeah, I guess that can work, and I guess that could resolve our issue.
I can't quite remember all the issues regarding around the lake, aside from the fact that it's a nutrient-rich lake because of the soil that surrounds it, and the basin and how everything, all the tributaries, all of that high nutrient load goes into the lake. So, but then I also heard different ideas and concepts of adding certain specific chemicals, some biodegradable, some organic, some not. Some people talked about copper in certain sections. I think that in all honesty, in deference, I get, and Jim Steele is a proclaimed scientist, and he knows about turbidity, and he knows about the nutrient buildup, and he knows about the shallow lake. And so, but Phil is talking about what can each one of us as citizens,
Well,
as
that's the thing.
landowners, you see, because we
has a more
cannot continue
proactive
to think
approach.
and believe that we hire or elect somebody and they're going to take care of all of our problems for us. That's not how it works. It's a mutual, kind of like a mutual benefit. We're all here together in this 2 or 3 mountain range enclosed by 4 entrances, and no buses, no trains, no planes. So here it is. We live here together. We as citizens and landowners need to participate in helping curb the nutrient buildup. So mitigation is right on tack, right where Phil is headed. I am a landowner now of a creek, and I am responsible for half that creek. So I'm willing to mitigate, the erosion problem by planting on the side of it.
And I agree with you 100%. However, in my few years of experience in Lake County, which is now 4.5 years, time flies, in my observation of the Board of Supervisors, they seem to not comprehend or don't want to listen to the public when they have different ideas.
I hear you on that point, and I just went to Sacramento this weekend too, and went to the Capitol and listened to people go and come there from all over California regarding the cannabis regulation that the state's voting on, and it's the same process, Single issues is what crowds the supervisory boardrooms, right?
Right.
Supervisors have multiple issues, and they have many, many behind-the-scenes activities that are taking place that are not necessarily illegal or inappropriate. But, if you want the attention of your supervisor, you need to be consistent with regards to accountability to your taxes, your portion of living in this county, and what are you doing to contribute to help the county turn around. Now, if people come in there with that kind of an attitude, I believe you'll get a better listening response from the Board of Supervisors. But oftentimes that building gets over-cluttered with people that are in dire straits, and they're very concerned.
Yep.
I think for the most part, people that show up consistently, that want to work with the ongoing 22% that pretty much direct and guide this county, we learn that we have to adapt to what's going on, and if you want to make changes, you implement them through time. But first, you got to get into the system. You can't go up to them and bump up against everybody and say this is all wrong. Do it my way. I mean, who are you?
Right.
You're one person. I mean, this requires a community.
Okay, so I appreciate what you have to say, but we were in another conversation when you stepped in.
Sure, no problem.
So I would like to finish that because we only have a few minutes before Jim Ryan comes on.
Okay.
And you're welcome to hang around, and Bob's here also.
Yes.
So,
Who?
Bob.
Bob DeWalt?
Yep.
Bob?
So, Bob, we'll have you come in a minute. Let me just finish up with this segment, and then we'll catch up with you. Yes, Bob's here.
Cool.
Yes. It is
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
Bob who?
It's Bob DeWalt is one of our regular people here in the studio. He's worked with us for about
Before
3
you, I have
years
one
now.
comment to make to John. Then
Okay,
pick up.
that's
I 100% agree with you. I really do, for once. But here's the problem.
You
and
must be desperate.
I am. Just speaking for the two of us only, not anyone else that might be in Mr. Brown's district. It's hard to communicate and to deal with situations when he refuses to talk to you, especially
Right.
when you're in district. He refuses to even communicate with us in any
Yeah,
form
if
or
I
fashion.
email him, I'll never get a response.
If we talk to him, he just turns his back. Or maybe. We'll see.
Right.
And that's
But
it.
that's okay.
Well,
You know what? It's all about him, so let it be all about him, and
Well,
he'll see what happens.
I mean, if I ran across anybody's supervisor or not, that's from my perspective is not really available to me. Then I've got to. First thing I do is I look at what maybe I may have contributed to cause that. I mean, I believe that I have a part in everything that goes on. Including running for a supervisor.
Right.
Whether you're successful or not. The point is I look at my part and stuff, and then I try to heal it.
Well,
and
you
so
got
that
to
takes
heal it.
time. It
That's
takes
okay.
time to heal things. You got to keep reaching out, and you got to keep. At least that's my experience, and that's what I do. Because you know what, I don't need to ruffle anybody's feathers. I'm getting old, long in the tooth, and I don't want to fight. I want to contribute, be of service.
But you managed to do a good job anyway without trying.
And can you imagine what it'd be like if I liked the fight?
Exactly.
We'd have
I remember.
running for office it cut a lot of edges. I'll tell you that.
It did.
Okay.
You definitely mellowed. Okay, so let me get back to our weekend. We were talking about the weekend. We always like to do a recap of our week before each show, so it's part of our routine. So yeah, so that was our horrible experience at Hopland.
Yes.
Not good. I
that
don't
the
know
casino?
when.
Is
Yeah.
it?
Yeah,
It was
yeah. We
horrible.
went to the buffet there.
Uh-huh.
And it was terrible. That was Friday night, and so we had decided after looking at all the menus in Lake County for all the Mother's Day brunches that Robinson Rancheria offered the best option, and so we decided to go there. And we got there what about 1 o'clock,
about
2 o'clock,
No.
No, it
We
wasn't
got there
that
about
late.
11 o'clock.
11.
Yeah.
Okay, and the food was fresh. It was hot. It was really, really good. It was a combination of seafood and regular, like, brunch items. They had made-to-order omelet station that the omelets just came out so fresh and crisp. They had a, what was that?
Crab. Eggs.
Benedict.
Yes.
Crab
Eggs
Benedict.
Benedict with crab, not
Crab
ham.
cake instead of ham, which was
Wow.
really good. They had a really good seafood ravioli. Of course, I eat seafood. I don't eat meat. But they also had chicken piccata, and they had medallions of beef in
Both were excellent.
wine, and just really good food. I was so impressed.
I think the biggest thing when
Again,
you go,
it was $20.
yeah, when you go to a buffet, sometimes the food just sits there.
Yeah,
Right.
no, and this was hot.
This was
and
always
fresh.
rotating.
great.
Matter of fact, when we got there, they were out of everything but the omelets.
So there was a good
and-
crowd then, too.
And
Yeah.
the roasted
Good.
potatoes. So everything came back out real fresh after that, and we were able to. And even the home fries were just well done, cooked properly.
Right. And tell you how busy
was
they
good.
were. They ran out of champagne for mimosas.
I never
Wow.
got my mimosa. I need
That's
to go
pretty
back
busy.
and get
That's
one.
Only-
good news. I'm
Only
glad to hear
because
that.
she was hitting the machines.
Yeah,
I
I
sat there
decided to
for an
go.
hour or so by myself, and she
It
finally.
was almost 2 hours. The machine kept giving back to me.
Oh, my God.
I
That's a
kept
terrible
winning
problem to have.
and winning.
Who
I
lets
had
you
to
go?
tear myself away. It was that bad. $160 I walked out
Oh,
in
my
my
goodness.
pocket, and I was still winning. But
Wow.
he doesn't gamble, so he was just bored to death. And I said,
Mm-hmm.
I can't. It was like 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
I used to gamble.
Yeah, I did a lot of that in
Yeah.
Tahoe.
Well, when I was
raised
in
in Tahoe.
in Australia, when I had my little restaurant, I go out the back kitchen door right into the OTB, off-track betting.
Wow.
So it was
Oh,
easy to go
geez.
from
So
the
you were
cash
really
register
into
into the horse racing, and I said,
Coincidence,
no
you think? I don't know.
I wanted
Actually,
to-
I actually did pretty well.
Well, yeah.
Make a couple of announcements. Today at Cheese's Pizza in Lakeport, they're donating $10 for every large pizza they sell to the Steely family. That's the family of the CHP officer
Oh,
Yeah.
that
right.
drowned off the coast about a month ago, I guess it was.
Jake.
Come out and
Yeah.
show your support in the most delicious way possible. Wednesday, May 11th. That's today only at Cheese's Pizza. So go on over there for lunch, folks, and get a large pizza, and they'll give $10 to the
I'm
Steely
going to stop
family.
by there on the way up to.
Good for you.
Upper
Yeah,
Lake
and take
House.
a pizza
Yeah.
home. That's a great
Okay, you want
idea.
to come on back and bring me one?
Yeah, would you please?
You know what? I'm back this way, but I think you'll be off the air by then. So.
But,
Well,
but-
we don't eat on the air
Oh, you don't?
anyway.
Oh, okay.
well, I do sometimes. but-
Okay.
By the way, are you going on the poker running?
I don't have time. I'm
Oh,
busy.
come on.
I am so busy with my farm and the house in Upper
Okay.
Lake and as you know, the North Shore Community Center, which was the Lucerne Senior Center, which I'll give it a plug right now. We had the first donation, I believe, in the history of this lake, a check written by our little Farmers Association, Jason Jones, and Frank Perez at the Fuente.
Right.
And we presented them with the first check, $5,000 of three, up to
Nice.
$15,000, so that we can stay solvent through June up to July. And we have
Wonderful.
increased our board from 4 members to now a full 9-member board. We have an
Great.
incredible amount of people showing up. We have the money to help us move forward.
Is Ray still?
Ray is an executive, but we're hiring an executive. She wants to step out.
Okay.
And we've got
I know
we
she
got
had a rough year last
four
year.
applications, 4 resumes for executive director, and we have applications out, and we're interviewing Friday and Tuesday for executive director on Tuesday, and we're interviewing for the secretary on Friday.
Excellent.
So we're moving forward, and it's looking good. We really want to be able to save this center for the community as well as the seniors.
Well, they're doing fun things up there too with the
Yeah,
open
starting
mic
to
night
and
all that
Running Creek
stuff.
is doing real well too. I mentioned Robinson's. Running Creek is doing
Oh,
very
they have
strong.
a great restaurant there
Yeah.
too. I just didn't care for the selections on their brunch. Otherwise, we would
Yeah.
have gone there. I like Running Creek a
But
lot.
both these
too.
communities, in particular Running Creek, has been giving back to the community in massive amounts, and that's
Yeah, and as actually Running Creek and Twin Pines both do
Right.
so much for the community.
right. So we're
Yeah.
grateful for that in the
Yeah.
District 3 area.
That's
you
awesome.
know.
Okay, well, I also want to let people know that May 21st is the first annual Fireman's Ball in North Shore for the
That's
North
right,
Shore
District
Fire.
3
That's
at
at the
Moose
Moose
Lodge.
Lodge.
Uh-huh.
Yep, and that's May 21st,
That's right.
and that's at Highway 20 on Clear Lake Oaks.
Mm-hmm.
They'll have a buffet catered by Fresh and Bangin', which I hear those guys
They're
are
excellent.
great.
Both of them are
Yeah,
excellent.
Fresh and Bangin'. And it starts at 6 p.m. There'll be a silent auction. Ticket prices are $30 each or $50 for two. And, of course, the information number is in red, and I can't read it on a black background. But for more information, you can call, looks like 900-1298, or contact John. I'm sure he knows.
Now
all
that's
about
for
it.
the Fireman's Ball, right?
Yeah, the North
Okay,
Shore
we know we
Volunteer.
also have this weekend, right? In the same district, District 3, the Catfish Derby.
Oh, is that this weekend?
Yeah.
Oh, my gosh, I
Right.
got to get my girl to get
I
that
think
covered.
it is. Let me make sure. I'm not.
Yeah, I didn't realize it
overstepping
was
here.
that soon.
I'm pretty sure on my calendar it says Catfish.
We might be doing a fishing column real soon,
That's
too.
let me see, the 14th, right? Yep, Catfish in the Oaks, 8 a.m. That'll be
Nice,
Saturday.
nice.
Yeah, so Saturday and Sunday, and they have great. I think they're still having oysters. I have to go check
Oysters?
it out. Yeah, they had them last year. We barbecued. I don't know how many. We had I think 1,000 oysters. I'm pretty sure it was 1,000, and they sold out. So it was a wonderful event, and it creates a lot of. It's a
Where-
fundraiser,
where's
right,
that
for the volunteer fire. It's the Oaks.
Okay.
At the Oak
That's
State
this
Fire
weekend.
Station.
Oh, the Catfish Derby, yeah.
Yeah,
One
Catfish
of the
Derby.
best fishing tournaments.
Oh,
I
it's a
think
great
they
fishing
have.
tournament, great
Yeah.
food, lots of raffle, lots of prizes. Lots of people show up from out of the county. It's a wonderful,
that's good.
wonderful event.
Right.
Yeah, it's a very
Excellent.
If you haven't been to one, you've got to go. You
Yeah,
really ought to bring
we
your
wanna
camera
go,
and set
we
it
want to
up.
go cover it one year.
You
It's
really
just
should.
not happening
It'll
this year,
blow
but
you away. It is
our
really
girl
a-
Jessica,
yeah.
she's a fisherwoman,
Mhm.
and so she comes up here and fishes all the time. She lives in Fairfield, but she's
Mm-hmm.
actually taken over most of the publishing now on the magazine.
Mm-hmm.
So she's very tied into Lake County. She has relatives here
Mm-hmm.
and family. So she comes up on a regular basis and just to go fishing, basically.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So next year we'll have her on site and have her be in the roving reporter. and
Oh, good.
everything.
That'd be great. Yeah,
Yeah,
we could
she'll
use
love that. And
Good
she wants to
coverage.
do a column just on not really on the fishing as much as on the screw ups. Like a outtake reel of fishing.
Oh, like
Humorous-
bloopers.
humorous
mishaps.
mishaps.
Yeah,
Yeah, humorous,
fishing
not
mishaps.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that might be fun.
Yeah, I think it would be really fun. So, some wise words from Thomas Chong this morning. A man leaves his caffeine dispensary to go to his tobacco dispensary, but refuses to go fix his problems at the cannabis dispensary.
Interesting. Interesting perspective, right?
I love that.
I'm
Actually,
sorry.
we were driving down the highway the other day, and we seen on one of those electronic neon signs that change, that interchange
Right.
the big ones, they're like 10 feet by 15 feet. We seen Chong's Picks, Chong's Best,
Chong's Choice.
Chong's Choice. That's
Yes,
whatever it was.
we're
yeah.
actually reps for them.
Yeah, I heard you.
So
I heard
anybody
that.
in Lake and Mendocino County who wants to have their product included as a Chong's Choice product, please contact me off the air here at the studio. You can call 701-6029, and we'll see if we can get it approved. It has to be outdoor. It has to be sun-grown in order to be a Chong's Choice
Oh,
pick.
good.
Yeah,
That's perfect.
and organic.
Yep, that's
So
important.
that's the top three.
Yep.
So it's very exciting because what they want to do is they're trying to circumvent the big ag that may be coming into the
For
industry
recreational, right? Yeah.
and create a marketplace where the boutique brands
Correct.
are what people will buy because they don't want the commercial grade. They
Right.
want that boutique.
It's like the
bud.
microbreweries
Yeah,
and small
exactly.
vineyards.
And modeling
you
it
know.
after the wine industry,
Sure.
So I think it's very smart, and they plan to sell in all the legal states
Good.
and distribute throughout all the legal states.
It's coming.
So.
I mean, I listen to C-SPAN daily now with this new Cyrus radio. I can't get off of it. I get to
Sirius,
hear
yeah.
news, Sirius, whatever it's called. Got
Yeah.
a new truck, right?
Yeah.
Making the payments on it. But I've been hearing all kinds of stuff about how we're going to be dealing with the cannabis in the state. Also about recreational gambling
Absolutely.
and fantasy
There's
football.
so
I mean,
many things that
these
are
are
gonna start
industries that are
developing.
bringing, like the vineyards, they're bringing millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to our state, to our country, and they're starting to recognize that people gamble.
Yep.
And you can't force control on that, but you can make them adhere to certain principles and certain codifications and coding and
Sure.
gambling taxes and permits and fees, and These are the things that help a community grow.
Right.
It's just a distribution. We need to stay on top of the distribution of the
Right.
taxes.
Well, that's it, and
you know.
and the distribution of the product. We got to make sure that there's enough supply to meet the
Right.
demand, so that people don't have to go to the commercial
Right.
grows and things. You know.
And
so
by the way,
regulation.
our ad hoc committee here in Lake County, which Rob Brown sits on the board, and Maria
I thought
Turner,
it was Anthony on that.
Anthony's
ad hoc.
on it as well. It's
Oh, both of
Anthony
them
and
are on?
Rob. It's Donnie Anderson's on it. The DA, our sheriff Brian Martin's on it.
No
our-
citizens though. That's the thing.
Well,
I
they
don't
didn't
like
want it.
about
I volunteered.
I know, but that's what's wrong
But
with
that's
that committee.
well, I might be wrong.
They
I might be
aren't
right.
taking citizens' input. I have asked to meet with Anthony to discuss this program,
Mm-hmm.
and he keeps putting me off. Now, if I was Tommy Chong, he'd be meeting with me in a
Well,
heartbeat.
we don't know that. That's a
No,
projection.
no, he already said. See, get him to me, and we'll talk.
Okay.
You know, so
Yeah.
it's like, why?
But
what,
you got to
what difference
understand,
does
though,
it make?
honestly, Terry, I understand.
Over them.
And but you got to understand, there's so many people that wants to have so much input, and these people, they're department heads, and they're people that really are in the middle of all this. And so when stuff goes south, you don't see the people that are the people that build up the crowd in the supervisory boardrooms. You see them on their one single issue event. But when we cooperate and we move forward and stuff happens in the infrastructure and things don't go quite right, bloopers happen, you don't see anybody around to help. And it's not only so much as it people to help, but we elect people in hopes that they will carry out the will of the people. So when you vote for a candidate, if they don't want to respond to issues, then that's a good indication. If they tell you, well, I'll let you know what my position is on that when you elect me, that's a good indication that you do not have a relationship with that supervisor or that congressman.
Okay.
Well, obviously, they don't like to hear
But they
what
still
I
get
have
elected.
to say.
See, so that's my point. And so when you have in-house or internal problems, both with the elected officials and with the constituency, you have a stalemate. If nobody can move one way or the other. And so I think what they decided to do to keep the public out was not so that they would do anything behind the scenes, but to make it a more efficient. We had to move fast. And then when Rick had to step down, Mireya was asked to step in, and I know that she has a very, very...
Maria is wonderful.
Yes.
I'm so happy
Absol-
she's where she's at because she is one of the best people we have in this county.
Right, and the main concern about this whole cannabis thing are two things. One, growing within the community development boundary area, which I and everybody else I know are vehemently opposed to that for obvious reasons, for you can't control it as well. And then the other one is to make sure that the cannabis growers that are growing here, let them know that there is an ordinance, and if you comply with the ordinance, you're going to be in good standing. Permit fees will be involved, the taxation will be involved, and by the time 2019 comes around, because that's what it'll take to implement anything with this recreational. What is that term? Ballot. It's on the ballot, and so when that, if and when that does pass, it'll be all the way to 2019. So you got about 3 years of grows left. That's not going to have heavy restrictions. So everybody needs to get on board, or you stay a guerrilla grow and you deal with the anxiety and the stress and all the other stuff that goes with that. I, for one, am not interested in that kind of anxiety and stress.
but there
Well,
are-
that's it. And I
Yeah.
think most people feel the same way, that they want to be legal. And that's why we need to have reasonable laws.
Right.
And, this kind of thing that Chong is doing. And also there's going to be a Cheech's choice as well.
Good.
And the way they've set it up is Cheech's choice is recreational.
Oh,
Chong's
good.
choice is
Medicinal.
medicinal.
And you know what? They need to have that.
It's
That
perfect.
distinction is
Yeah,
important.
and they're doing the right thing. So I'd like to see that become, like a standard.
And also, what I'm also
for
hoping
us.
for is the Article 72 is what Measure N now is referred to, with this ad hoc committee made up of the department heads. I think the efficiency of no public involvement will give them the ability to not to diminish the existing Article 72, but to add to it. So they're talking about adding to the grow
Well-
count, adding to where you can grow, lowering the ag amount of
Yeah.
land.
I understand. It's
So they're
gonna be-
they're working
it's
in
not
our
me,
direction.
It's your ears. Let me just.
They're
calm
working
down.
in our direction.
Okay, let me
Yeah,
tell you.
I agree.
We've
and,
seen
and that's very good.
we've seen Rob Brown at 2 different forums.
We're almost out of time, guys.
I know. The questions he was asked was regarding the ordinance of the ad hoc committee.
Yeah.
He vehemently stated, I don't want it. I don't give a damn about it. It ain't going to happen in my county.
Not recently, not in the last
What?
couple of
No.
Okay, this
That's
yeah,
true.
the last
He's
2 weeks
right.
he has said that.
Oh yeah, we saw that
Are you
down
talking
at the
about
meeting. That
cannabis
was
growing?
Yeah.
Yes, he wants it out of the county. He's not going to
He
vote
just
for it. He
has a
doesn't
very
want
negative
it. Period.
attitude.
Well,
That's why.
I can't answer to that because it's been my opinion that he's he, like Brian and like Donnie and everybody else that recognizes, even I've been talking to Monica Rosenthal, and she says that she's, everybody wants to be in compliance.
She fought
And
against Measures
I know
O&P
she did. I
so
know she did.
vehemently. I question how sincere is she really? And when she comes on our show, I'll be happy to ask her that.
And it sounds to me that
So-
if you know something different, Rob Brown is then just catering to the people who's going to elect them.
Right.
That's me.
Yeah, okay. I wouldn't, I wouldn't make any of those speculations. I
Anyway,
wouldn't speculate.
we got a break. So
Yeah.
I do want to say today marks the 35th anniversary of the death of Bob Marley, and so we're going to do a little Marley song in a minute. But thanks for joining us,
Sure.
John. Like
Thanks
I
for
said,
having
you're
me.
welcome to stick around. Up
talk
next,
during the
we've
break,
got
Peter. Okay.
candidate for District 1, Jim Ryan, coming in.
Yep.
And we're really looking forward to talking with him. And we'll have Bob DeWald on in the 11 o'clock hour. So thanks so much for coming in and sticking around. And, we'll talk to you soon. And for you folks out there, thanks for tuning us in. And we'll
For
be
tuning
back
us
in a
out.
few minutes. I'm Terry.
Cameras go off.
And I'm Pete the
there.
Tax Guy.
All right. Peace out.
What it is. So no use in wishing, hoping, and wanting. And those if only and those coulda, shoulda, and wouldas are just troubles for the head. And crying around about most anything is just a waste of tears. It is what it is. It is what it is. Life doesn't put anything in front of us that we can't handle. It's all in the handling. Coherent or incoherent. Clarity or chaos. Another thing. Everything that ever happens is there to make us stronger. And when we understand, our strength gets stronger. And when we don't understand, our weaknesses get stronger. It's an inevitability. It is what it is. It is what it is. And when falling down falls down, how down can falling down fall?
Falls down. How down can falling down fall?
And when getting back up gets back up, how up can getting back up get back up? In the reality of being, reality waits for human recognition to recognize the power of intelligence clearly used is a way of seeing, curing, healing spirit. It's not about whether we can or can't. It's about whether we will or we won't. It is what it is. It is what it is. The blamers and the blamed
Blamers and the blame
play a dangerous game,
play a dangerous game.
turning responsibility into another one of their casualties inside of ourselves and amongst ourselves, desperating while hidden behind the light cast by our shadows. Life holds its breath, and alive wants us to live the gift we were given. It's a decision we make. It is what it is. So no use in wishing, hoping, and wanting. And those if only and those coulda, shoulda, and wouldas are just troubles for the head. crying around about most anything is just a waste of tears. It is what it is. It is what it is.
You sing it, Bob. The stone that the builder refused is going to be the head cornerstone. You know what that means? That means that the people that are rejected by other people could be the ones that come back and kick their butts. Right?
Yep. Absolutely. Huh? What? I'm very good at kicking butts.
You're real good at kicking butts when you're ready.
Yeah. All 5'7", 130 pounds.
That's right. It's your job.
That's right, Mon.
Welcome back, everybody.
Yeah, we're here, folks, I think.
And we have in our studio the interesting candidate for District 1.
Interesting?
Yeah, I'm
Sorry.
so fascinated by this race because all four of you, it's four, right?
Yes.
Yes. All four of you are so unique and have such wonderful experience. This is the toughest race in the entire election, in my opinion, because it is such a tough choice. Everybody in that is unique. Everybody has experience in different ways. It's an extremely ethnic diverse group of people, and they're all professionals. Right. You know, I feel very good about District 1 because I don't feel like there's really going to be a loser. Whoever is the person that gets elected, the county's going to win, I believe, because I know you're all good people. That being said.
Well, thank you for that.
Let me introduce our guest.
I
This
think
is
she's
Jim
kissing
Ryan.
up.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a typical soften them up before you give them the hard stuff.
Exactly. Good cop, bad cop, right?
So there you go. So Jim Ryan is actually a active deputy for Sonoma County. Is that correct?
Yes, I'm a
With the
patrol sergeant for Sonoma County.
Patrol
Sheriff's.
sergeant. Okay, and it's the sheriff's department.
It is.
Okay, perfect. You work the night shift.
I do.
And you're still awake.
Thank
I'm
you.
Still
Thank you for
I got off at 7
sacrificing.
this morning. So.
Oh.
Heidi, can you switch that?
How long a commute is it for you?
It's 37 miles, so it's roughly 45, 50
Thank
minutes.
Yeah,
you.
37 miles does not relate very well at the time, does it?
The corkscrew. Hasn't gotten any straighter
How,
over the last
yes,
18
it still
years.
takes you an hour to an hour and a half, right?
Sure does.
What a commute that must be. You live in Hidden Valley.
I do.
Yes. Interesting. How long have you lived there?
Going on 18 years here, yeah.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
So, and you've worked for the Sheriff's Department for a long time too, right?
22 years this
See? Oh my gosh. So you've been commuting for 18 years over that hill.
year. I have.
Dang. That's a tough
Is that
ride.
automatic driving now?
It is.
Car
See,
just goes this way.
My older car has 235,000 miles on it, and I just got a new used car. So, in any case, then now I'm able to commute in a patrol vehicle on occasion, so that works out a little bit better.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah, that's good they allow you that. So I'm looking at your little write-up. You have 2 daughters. And you say they're young daughters. How young?
I do. They're 8 and 10.
Oh, that's a great age. Oh, I love raising elementary school kids.
Really?
And your parents were retired? Yeah, I did when I had them. Not now. I don't want them now. Thank you.
Only one was really.
You don't
Never
know. They were
Excuse-
all really amazing
That's right.
kids.
You don't know. I only knew. Definitely. Let's go.
Okay, thank you. You've only been with me for 20 years, dear.
Well, Jamila was the only one that really was in grammar school.
She was 5.
Yeah.
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 She wasn't in grammar school. She was in kindergarten.
Whatever.
Yeah, but Kareem was in grammar school. He
Yes.
was 10.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so back on track. Sorry, we do
We
sidetrack
digress.
a little.
Keeps it interesting. That's good.
Oh yeah.
Well, it's part of what I think our listeners like is listening to our banter.
An old married couple fighting with each other.
20 years. Congratulations.
Thank
That's
you.
great.
Thank you. And you've been married for how long?
Going on 11 years. yeah.
11
11
years.
years.
Excellent, excellent. Did you meet your wife here or down there?
I actually met her in Santa Rosa, and at the time she was an office manager in San Francisco.
Oh.
So she worked for a nonprofit called Canner, which is California Advocates for Nursing Care Reform.
Oh, nice.
So she was an office manager and a lobbyist
Good
to
for
make
her.
nursing care facilities a better place.
And what does she do now?
She's a full-time mom.
There you
Oh,
go.
good for her.
And she's
Lucky lady.
volunteering at the Coyote Valley Elementary School,
Mm-hmm.
and we're raising our daughters there in Hidden Valley. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yes. She has
For
quite a
those
few
of you
jobs.
who couldn't hear because Heidi doesn't like to use the microphone, she said so she has 6 jobs.
She's got her hands full.
Excellent. That's awesome. So let me see what else I can glean from your little
That's a
from
big
your
word.
write-up. Yeah. So you say the key to blending the interests of business, agriculture, public safety, the environment, and municipal resources is to trust our future to a person who is dedicated and competent. I would agree with that. And you do feel competent as far as all those issues regarding Lake County? Do you feel comfortable with the issues?
I do. Basically, the idea of bringing my 28 years of public service to Lake County is bringing it home for me. We have 3 generations of my family living here, and we're very excited about my experience and what I could bring into this race, the uniqueness behind my experiences in community service and bringing people together to resolve issues and look at problems from different angles is one of the benefits of my experience.
Let me interject
It
a
is good
question,
experience. Yeah.
here. My initial, and I say with all due respect, my initial thoughts when I heard about a law enforcement officer running for supervisor, that's before we met this week, so I didn't know anything about you, didn't know who you were. How do you think your background in law enforcement is going to actually work to the benefit of the county in the issues we have to address?
Well, understanding government structure, how things should work effectively, bringing people together to roundtable their ideas, being open and available to folks, getting back to them in a timely fashion, being a good listener, and taking an approach of what the government can and can't do to provide those services back to the taxpayers that expect the government to run fluidly and efficiently.
Okay. Do you think that besides, and that's a great attribute, obviously, but can you address the other issues? Do you have the background to address the other issues and to deal with the supervisors that are currently or potentially would be elected?
Well, if you look at the variety of committees that the Board of Supervisors sit on, I think that my unique experience brings a different look from 2 other counties that I've served in the public. I worked in Marin for 7 years as a police officer in the last 22 here in Sonoma County. So the idea that there's different programs and models in place in other counties, I think the idea that some of those ideas I can bring home to us here in Lake County would be beneficial to the folks that live here. So I think there's a broader spectrum of committees that those Board of Supervisors sit on, whether it be justice ideas or different legislation that breaks out. And my experience as an association leader, reviewing legislation, lobbying for safety bills, grant funding for public safety, I think that experience is a huge attribute to what I bring to the table in this race.
Yes, you've been heavily involved in the organization. Is it basically the union? Is that what it is, or is it?
It's
Tell me about the organization.
Yeah,
It's PORAC or something?
It's called PORAC, Peace Officers Research Association
Right.
of California. So I'm volunteering my time. I'm elected to office to represent the four North Bay counties: Marin, Napa, Solano, and Sonoma. We have just over 55 associations. And at the state level, I'm a state director, and I was recently appointed state secretary. So in that capacity, I represent over 66,000 law enforcement officers up and down the state of California. So in that role, we look at reasonable legislation that comes through that affects law enforcement. We basically try and have an effort to bring public safety funding to California and to the areas that we're working in. So it's a broader scope of my volunteer time.
Gotcha. And it's also good experience as far as dealing with the government and negotiating and things like that.
Well, it is, taking into consideration that I have a kind of an ongoing working relationship with the elected officials here in our area, whether it be Mike Thompson, Bill Dodd, or Mike McGuire. I mean, years ago when Mike McGuire was working his way up through the ranks over in Sonoma County, he was running against an incumbent mayor of Windsor at the time, and my Deputy Sheriff's Association helped him with his campaign, and so we are commonly approached to support individuals, and public safety should be on people's, the first and foremost of their mind for core services for our county. Safety is a huge concern.
That's true. I see here also you were a supervisor of a mutual aid response team during the Valley Fire.
That's right. I left out of my house on the top of Hidden Valley there in about 15 minutes with my youngest daughter, and I felt terrible pulling out of there, trying to meet up with my family, and the idea that I couldn't help my friends and neighbors there other than making phone calls. My neighbors' bushes are all on fire. We come the back way into Lower Lake. Thank God we had a plan. My parents are elderly, retired military, and I said, hey, we need to get together on Lower Lake. Let's make the exit point either going to be able to go south or split and go north here. So, the idea that the next day, once my family got linked together, my wife is over in Santa Rosa shopping with my oldest daughter. I turned around, came back up in here, and we ran mutual aid teams for about a week straight.
Explain to those people that may not know what a mutual aid team is.
Basically, during a major incident, they set up an incident command structure, and they'll put out requests to initially surrounding counties. Sonoma being linked in, obviously, on this side, we're right connected on the south end here. We had an immediate response back to the area up here, and the idea that several of my counterparts live here in Lake County, several in Hidden Valley, it really hits home. You take it to heart when you're able to go up there and help your friends and neighbors, whether it be, bringing them supplies or checking on their animals, securing their homes, preventing looting from going on. There was several calls that had come in, suspicious circumstances and otherwise. But I felt that, my counterparts, the men and women of the Deputy Sheriff's Association and Lake County Sheriffs, were in need. I mean, you could sense that these folks were taxed. And I felt very honored to work with them, and to help them and support them in that role.
Right, excellent. Well, thank you for your service.
Yeah. Let me interject a question here. Is that based on your experience and background and your training, you knew how to react? You had kind of a plan on what you had to do in an emergency situation. Most people had no clue. They really didn't. And that's not negative comment. That's not what they're trained to do.
No, you're absolutely right.
And being, for better choice of words, media, my wife was on the fire lines more than I think some of the firemen, to be honest with you, doing a lot of things, both from the
We did house checks.
Right.
So we let people know we were going up there, and because we had the media pass, so they wouldn't care if we burned up. I mean, they let us go anywhere we wanted, It was like, okay, go ahead, no problem. So we took advantage of that, and we told people that we would go and look for homes and make sure their homes, and we shot video of the whole neighborhood so everyone would know whether their house is still there or not.
So
So we were up there a lot.
No, I mean, once people realized that I was actually running a patrol team in there, my phone kept just blowing up.
Right,
You
they
check
wanna
these
know if their
addresses,
house is there,
and
yeah.
how sad is that when you
Yeah.
go to an address and you can't even find the numbers?
Exactly.
I know, it was so
melted down,
difficult.
right?
It was, from the third day of the fire, we were up there.
But
doing
getting
that.
back to your question there, I mean, you're absolutely right. When it comes to a major incident or even a deeper concern, you're going to look towards your leaders, and they're going to point you in the right direction, whether that be how to get out of a circumstance or how to take the next steps or coordinate efforts to resolve those conflicts or issues.
Right. So my question now, and again, I'm not trying to be negative or derogatory towards anyone who worked the fires, they did the best they could, is that we allegedly had an emergency evacuation, emergency plan at the county level. It was like 10 years old. Had not been updated. There was a supervisor that was, quote, in charge of the emergency plan. And based on my naivety, for better choice of words, not being aware of emergency plans set at a corporate level for office buildings, it seemed that the emergency plan really was not working or wasn't even implemented. As a potential candidate for being a supervisor, what could or what would you do to ensure that not just at the government level, but at the citizen level, that everyone knew what the evacuation plan would be? For an example, if this road is closed, here are the other roads or routes you can take. If you're in a business place, what can be done to ensure that your family is safe, you know how to properly react? What can be done at home? What type of evacuation kit should you have available? None of that was there.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's kind of twofold there. I think from the government standpoint, certainly the knowledge and having the command structure in place. I have training in incident command structure. Being a certified supervisor in law enforcement, we cross-train with fire and public safety personnel on a regular basis. But the idea that you work with the state and the other agencies, the Office of Emergency Services, you have that command structure in place. You roll it out and template it, and it's in place. You coordinate practice exercises behind that. You commonly put out the knowledge and availability. You start with everything from the families to the children, how to prepare. I think to some degree, with at least myself, with the prior two fires that were right behind us, my friend's ranch behind me there, we were up watching the Rocky Fire and watching the bombers come in there. So the idea that, okay, I had my file cabinets ready to go with birth certificates, passports, things that you're going to be very, very timely to replace if you can at all, So I think the idea that the public information needs to be available there, whether it be it's updated on the website for the county, or cross training, or availability with the fire services too. I know they do training and the outreach to the people. Yeah. Obviously, we all have a great awareness of how rapidly this could go south on us now.
What
after
the big
the fact.
issue was is after the Rocky Jerusalem fire. You may recall that they made an announcement that Nixle would be the point of contact for all future evacuation notices. The fire was started about 1:30 in the afternoon. The CAL FIRE did the first evacuation order up in Cobb at 2:30 in the afternoon. The Nixle alert did not go out until 6:30 in the evening. That to me is very, I don't want to say criminal, but it is very detrimental to our whole community, because people were waiting for that Nixle alert. We have posts from people on Facebook that said, I did not leave Hidden Valley because I did not hear a Nixle alert. And then it was the last minute, and everything's gone. So what can we do to improve that? Would you reinstate the siren system, or what other ways do you think could help?
That's certainly a better part of a discussion there. I know the audible siren issue or implementation is out there right now. It's obviously a costing thing. I know around Hidden Valley some of those are there, but they're talking tens of thousands of dollars to get them operational, get them hooked back up, whatever the cost might be. But that's minimal to the life that you're going to save, right?
Exactly. Why is that even an issue?
That's how you equate that.
Exactly.
I mean, there were certain things that I certainly saw. It goes into a gridlock situation.
Oh yeah, getting out of Hidden Valley, that was another nightmare.
People are looking for direction. I mean, I went down my ridge just as
no exit plan.
A matter of course and habit. I had to go down and make the U-turn. The fire gate is right up by my house. Get up there, and one of my friends had actually cut the lock on it, and we went out the dirt fire exit.
Well, thank God.
We were in Lower Lake in less than 10 minutes.
Right.
So I'm like, all those people were gridlocking.
Yep.
It's like,
where's the plans?
Well,
and hopefully they're learning from this, and there will be plans, but we haven't seen them yet.
Exactly.
And we're headed back into another fire season.
I think, people are very aware that the training and the information needs to get back out to them. I think their interest in that is certainly going to be a lot higher now. That being
You
prepared.
know, a lot of
in
these
that regard.
sirens are still sitting in firehouses. We live in Jago Bay, and the siren is on top of a little abandoned fire station on our road. I was wondering what would be, and you may not even know this, but I'd just like your feedback on it. What would be the possibility of citizens taking those over and improving them and paying to have them working and getting them fixed, instead of hiring some super expensive guy for $10,000 to refurbish these things? I mean, it just seems those things should be hand cranked anyway. They shouldn't even be electric, because that's part of the problem. We lost power, we lost telephone, we lost everything.
You know, you think about all this technology boom that we've had over the
No
last
way.
couple decades, right? And here we are
I'm
going
all
back to
about the
audible
old
sirens
school.
to crank up.
Yeah.
That probably still work, like you say. Blow the cobwebs out of them, and
Hello,
if you know,
little WD-40
there
and
you
it
go.
should be fine.
I mean, obviously the transition in the hills and the signals, you know, everybody's cell phones cut out and whatnot. But you're absolutely right. I mean, by the time I got out, I never heard one siren.
Nothing.
My youngest daughter goes, "Hey, Dad, the backyard's yellow. We need to do something."
That was right on, but your house did not go.
It came right up to my neighbor's fence, and luckily the ranch behind me has an elbow cut in a dirt road, so that was a little fire break there.
Excellent.
And it burnt right to
Well,
there.
you're very
and-
lucky.
And we are, you know.
Couldn't the volunteer firemen, for better choice, couldn't they be responsible if within that area for taking care of the emergencies and the sirens?
And you know, I mean, obviously we all know that the county, you know, is strapped for money and the budgets are tight and all that. But like I say,
But they gave themselves a
volunteers are what
raise.
bring the communities together. If we can't get volunteers to take that interest, that's a huge resource. Why wouldn't we take advantage of that? You're absolutely right. I mean, that's
I
a
don't
huge
know. The
part of it.
logic just escapes me sometimes with the way the county's run. But
My biggest complaint.
hold on, Bob. Get into the microphone if you can talk. I don't.
Now you're going to have the wisdom of an old guy.
Here we go. I like it. That's what we need.
He's our right-wing conservative.
Very right-wing
Right.
conservative.
Okay.
My biggest complaint through this whole fire thing, not being in the area, because the fire started after I left the area to head back down to Petaluma to take care of some medical issues. I was never able to get back into the area here. But it seemed to me that there was a lack of coordination of a central command. I don't think Caltrans knew what the police
Cal Fire,
departments were
you mean.
doing, or Cal Fire, whoever they.
Well,
you know.
I could tell you, because as media, we dealt with all the agencies. There was no communication between Cal Fire, between the Sheriff's Department, between OES, all of them. Nobody talked to each other. When the Rocky Jerusalem fires came, we had to evacuate everything from here, and we went to our home, and we broadcast live from there, giving people updates on what was going on. We actually were on the Highway 20 when the fire jumped the 20 and got it on video. So we were bringing people news right up to the minute. But we were getting information, like at one point they had closed down the Highway 53, and CHP had told us that. And then the Sheriff's Department said, no, it's not closed. Bless you. and it turned into this big battle over whether the road was closed or not.
Right.
CHP, after the fact, admitted, yes, the road was closed, but it was only for about 10 minutes. But we had put that word out there. So then we got blamed for putting out bad information. And in the reality, it's just these things move so fast. From
Right.
1 minute to the next, we don't know what's going to happen. So we were able to get the word out. We had a good relationship with CAL FIRE. We had a good relationship with CHP, et cetera, where people were giving us the information. During the Valley Fires, we didn't do that because KPFC had kind of taken over that role of being the 24-hour broadcast update, blah, blah, blah. So our experience from the first fires had taught us how disjointed everything was. So I was like, okay, let them handle that. We got more important things to do. Let's go find these houses. So, but the communications is the biggest problem in my book. You know?
And I think you're probably your opinion is well noted there. I think there needs to be a dynamic breakdown of the communities coming together and say, here are the issues that we saw. Everybody's ideas need to come together. What are we going to learn from this?
Right.
Certainly a week before that fire took place, somebody rolled out, guess what? We're going to have the third largest fire in the state of California come through here and sweep us.
Right.
Everybody
would have known what to do to get their stuff together.
Even me personally, I
Yeah.
thought, okay, we've had 2 or 3 fires behind us. Where there's nothing left on that side to come, from Hidden Valley. You got green belts in there, the golf course and whatnot. I think absolutely no idea.
Right.
For there to be a firestorm volcano dropping hot embers and
Unbelievable.
spot burning houses.
And no notice to the residents. This is the thing that just is shocking.
You're right. I think the eerie silence that took place with that was incredible.
Yeah.
I mean, people, we're certainly trying to help each other to a larger extent of that. And, I think we're all kind of bonded together in this now. And I think we're all here talking about it.
It brought the community together.
It did.
Yeah.
And I think we need to look at the perspectives from everybody's. Right. All the stories are just now, there's people that aren't even really comfortable even telling their stories coming out just yet.
Right.
I mean, it's that horrific for folks.
What does boil down to, at least the point I'm trying to make, is why can't we be proactive instead of reactive? And that's what happened. We were reactive.
Didn't we learn from the Rocky Jerusalem?
Right.
I mean,
well, I think
it's ridiculous.
Part of conversations that I've had, I think obviously number one, the bigger part of a lot of that was staffing issues. Whether it be the sheriff's office is understaffed up here, some of the fire resources have been deployed to other areas. I don't have all the specific numbers on that, but yeah, I mean there you go.
That was part of the problem.
We're in the height of the fire
and the lack
season.
of communication between the agencies, and also the fact that I believe at the time of this fire when it started, I don't think that certain people in the sheriff's department took it as seriously as they should have. I think they thought it was going to get under control and that CAL FIRE was going to manage it, and that is part of the reason why the delay on the Nixle release. I don't think they expected this to blow up the way it did.
And I think part of the training element behind that is when you roll out the incident command structure, you talk about who's taking on what role, who's coordinating the efforts, and who takes the initial leadership, and then what branches come off of that. So you have a specific role that it goes into. Now, as far as like the practice and the build-up and the cross-training that goes with that, I'm not privy to all that from the historical side of it, but I certainly think that I would be very excited to be part of that in the future with my training and experience that I've seen. The county that I work in currently, we have incident command structures we put together every year. We call it, basically it's a city of over 100,000 people in a matter of a weekend. It's called NASCAR. So we roll out kind of an incident command structure. You have everybody in place. So it's whether you call it practice or otherwise, it's operational.
Right.
So that's a little bit of experience that I bring to the table.
Right. When I worked for American Airlines, we did the exact same thing at Kennedy Airport. Once a year, the paramedics, the supervisors, the management, which I was part of, we all got together, coordinated with the local authorities.
Well, they did have a drill recently.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. So anyway, you made a comment a few minutes ago, which I'm going to kind of change subjects a bit. Is you stated, and I'll use my words here because my memory is horrible. It is. You said that we had our budget here was very tight. We didn't have a surplus of funds. I disagree with that, and let me explain why. Number one, the county has a very large reserve of funds, so much that they actually spent $300,000 on a skateboard park. Okay, we won't mention what district and who. Okay. You got to remember my background.
And we don't even know if it exists. I mean, we've never seen an update on it or anything.
Right. Number two, the Board of Supervisors just voted a significant increase for themselves. They gave significant increases to the rest of the staff, for better choice of words, in the county. And they gave the largest increase to the Sheriff's Department, not just the COLA, but a 10% increase, while everyone else only got a 7% increase. So I don't buy the rhetoric.
Yeah, see, why would they give themselves a raise if we were so short of money? I mean, I can understand staff, but the supervisors didn't need to do that.
Right.
And they all took a raise.
And they did it on their own, not by consensus
and they had
of the public.
chance to say, no, I don't want to take this money.
Right.
And they could have said that.
Was there any verbal justification for that? Is that
No.
No, absolutely
was that ever
not.
put out to the public?
Yeah,
None.
it was discussed, but it wasn't really like it was one of those things that they kind of did so fast that people didn't notice until it was done.
Right. And I'm trying to be critical of the staff or anyone else. My point here,
Well, just quickly, what comes to mind for me on part of that is I know that quality staff and certainly the sheriff's office, because I have friends over there and counterparts that I work with, they've lost quality experienced people to other counties. So the idea that at some level they need to reach a medium price range to similar counties, otherwise known as their comparable counties. We got to retain people here. Otherwise, if they're down a third.
And that's why I say I don't mind so much
I
to
get
staff,
that. As far as the
but I
supervisors
didn't think
go,
the supervisors needed that raise. And Mr. Brown told me one time that they haven't had a raise in 15 years or since he took his first office or something, which That's fine, but when you put it in context of other counties and what money they're making, they're much higher than the average county of this population size and their salaries. And we've done the research on that previously, so we know this is something that they're not only didn't need per se, but now they're going to, take it out of the coffers that we supposedly don't have, and we could use that money for sirens.
Okay, so speaking to part of your point there being so-called transparency within the government structure,
Right.
Okay, then what are the comparable, like you say, other surrounding counties, whatever, that information could be put on open for public purview.
Yeah, we've done articles
done our
about
analysis
it.
on
Yeah,
that.
we have.
There you
We've
have
done
it.
our analysis a couple of years ago. We could reprint that again with updated information, but I'm sure the numbers are very similar. All it's going to do is make people angry. It's not going to help anything because they're going to do what they want to do. This is the problem. They don't look at the greater good. They look at what is good for them. And I put them in one big lump sum. I know they're not all individually like that, but it seems that when it comes to doing the votes, they have a philosophy that they have to have a majority. They have to have everybody's vote, whether they agree or not, to show unity. And therefore, one person will vote for something he may not agree with, just to show that there's a unified voice.
Well, I can guarantee this. I'm an independent thinker in that regard. I don't have anybody pointing me a particular direction.
Okay.
I've been a public servant for, like I say, 28 years. I've held public trust that long. So the idea that, when you work for the public, the knowledge, and you need to take that into consideration as far as like a dissenting vote on an issue or a matter. If you can't think independently and you're always channeled one direction, does that really accomplish the goal or at least represent the people or the area that you're in? So, I mean, you need to take it all in consideration. It's a bigger picture there.
So,
Go ahead.
I want to get more into your basic philosophies about subject matter.
Before
Did
you
you
do
want
that,
to finish that?
I have one quick question. Well,
Subject.
quick. You mentioned that we're losing a lot of quality law enforcement officers to other counties due to pay scale. Now, you're a perfect example of what I'm trying to communicate with a lot of other people. You live in Lake County.
Right.
You could theoretically have a choice to be in law enforcement in Lake County if you so choose. You're
Certainly.
obviously probably overqualified to become a deputy sheriff here per se. So you choose to work outside the county, where I'm making the assumption that your pay scale is much higher with a benefit package than it is here locally, correct?
Yes.
However, you live in Lake County where the cost of living is a lot less than Santa Rosa and some of the other cities, especially housing. So therefore, you have the best of both worlds, even though you have commuting time. You have the cost of living of Lake County and the salary of Sonoma, Napa, whatever the case may be. So my attitude is your salary is based on the standard of living in the jurisdiction. Therefore, and again, this is just my opinion only, that the deputy sheriffs and the sheriff here have the benefit of a lower cost of living. Therefore, their wages have to be adjusted accordingly, especially based on the population here.
But what he's
Well,
saying
I
is you
don't-
have to have the competitive salary to keep them here.
Yeah, I get where you're going with that, but I think it's a personal choice. It's like when I got married and decided to raise my family, I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to have a dual income. So we were very blessed to be up here,
Right.
to be able to, be cautious with our spending, save, and, not go bankrupt or walk away during the '08 crash.
Tell me
I've been
about
in
it.
the same house. I manage my funds correctly, as to the best that I can. But the idea that we're able to do that on a single income, that's due in part to where we're at. And then the idea that in South County, my parents will be able to retire, so we have a family structure built in.
Right.
So they're in a close knit within a mile of me. So it's the idea that we really, care about our family and our neighbors and be able to live in that situation. When I first moved to Lake County, I remember the gates in Hidden Valley were down and the roads are all cracked, and you come over the county and the county sign says with the spray painted F for Flake County, right? I mean, we're not going to take this
Right.
backwards. We want to move this
Right.
forward into the future. We have a great opportunity coming here before us. So I'm
Well,
excited about
okay, now I understand. For
Well,
the
that's
last
good.
comment, and then we'll move on, is that part of the problem, again, in my opinion only, is that there's a lack of marketing, for better choice of words, of, hey, we have a great environment for you to, once you get out of your training and stuff, to become law enforcement in Lake County. Here are the benefits of Lake County. Yes, here's your salary, here's the overtime that might be available, here's the great benefit package. And we think that you'd be a perfect example of coming into Lake County where your risk factors may be less compared to what you do, in your jurisdiction, sense of crime and violence. We have a great lower cost of living here, and you still get a good salary and benefits. So I think it's the marketing approach instead of saying, well, we need to give more money to keep people. That's a negative marketing versus a positive marketing.
Right. No, I certainly have to agree with you on the majority of that there, but yeah, it's a recruitment and retention issue. But you're right. I mean, look, the recreation up here, the quality time, getting outside,
It's a wonderful
the cleanest
life.
air in the state. Are you kidding me?
I'm telling you.
know,
Why
most-
wouldn't everybody want? Well, we don't want to tell
I mean,
everybody.
obviously the people in my profession want to be outside. We love that fact. I mean,
Exactly.
the idea you're out there talking to people, getting to meet good folks, and being representative to that degree. I mean, that's a huge selling point. You're absolutely right.
And that's what I
And-
think needs to be done. Don't just be the negative all the time.
And you have quality people here, quality people that are
Definitely.
but born and raised here, and just I just feel terrible that a lot of folks do choose to leave, and they're having problems with recruitment and retention. And like I said, the better part of that is getting them a little bit of like a COLA, or up to par there, where they can compete with surrounding counties.
Right.
Because otherwise, you do turn into a training ground a little bit.
Right.
I mean,
And that's not good. That's like what's happened in
it's
San
not.
Jose.
You invest all that money to folks, and then out the door they go. So.
Exactly.
Okay.
So what I want to know from you is what are the top 5 issues for the county that you, in your opinion?
Well, the top 5. Well, my top 3 are continuing with the Valley Fire recovery, public safety, recruitment and retention, and even with county staff. I'm hearing county staff is leaving. And effective local government, making sure that your tax dollars are put to good usage. The departments that we have are operational, fluid, moving forward, responsive to the public's needs, and getting back. Like the website is huge to respond back to people. They're aware of how the processes are going to work. Some of the other issues, it's like accountability on all levels. The idea that coming from an association background, being a leader in that regard, I commonly rapport with folks in management level and the line staff folks. So having that, you get a different spin on how things are actually working when you talk to both sides of that plate. You don't just get one angle of it versus how it's really operational. Being receptive to the suggestions and how we can make our county government here locally better. So I think the eyes and ears in the ground and be open and approachable is going to be a huge benefit for the position.
What would you do to increase tourism here?
I think that the better part of what's occurring in our county, you have obviously the realtors and the wine industry, and the folks want to come up here and recreate. We have the number 2 bass lake in the nation. People
But we
come up
also
here.
have the reputation of being the number 1 meth capital of California. So what do we do?
I kind of went back to the sign analogy there when it's happening. I think that hopefully is fading away a little bit. I've kind of seen that in what I've done, with investigations and whatnot. I think the people that live here, we're the best promoters of this county. Okay, I commonly want people to, like, I'm nearing retirement. If I get this position, I'll be able to retire this year. I'm inviting friends, relatives into this county to live here. Once they get up here, they love it. They either get to play golf, get outside, have a barbecue. Friendly neighbors, are you kidding me? You go to other places, it's like a rat race, right? You're in here because you can wave at your neighbor and have a friendly contact. So I think, the little things that we can do, as far as like the major components of that, whether it be the entertainment or the issue with the Canocti and the tourism going to there, what can we do for the lake? Are there grants that we can reach out for to help bolster the issues with the lake? Just an active search. It's not just one person. I'll be the biggest promoter I can be for this county, but it's going to take all of us together. But if we can broaden our tax base a little bit, get those folks rebuilt up there, I think that's a huge start right there.
Now, you are, I'm sorry, Bob, let me just get this. You want to comment to that?
Well, yeah, I wanted to comment about the economy here in Lake County. As you know, California is $124 million in the red. Also, Lake County is the poorest county in the state of California, and it is also up in the top 10 of the United States as being the poorest county in California. What are you going to do to bring this economy up in this county so we can sustain our services?
Yeah, I think part of that, as far as the governmental role, is to make it a more fluid, more transitional application process. When you bring a business into the county, okay, it fits within the guidelines, or all the EIR reports in there, how it's zoned, if you're going to build or otherwise. Make that a fluid process. We have to. Oftentimes, you have so much red tape that things don't carry through, or people get discouraged from investing that way. I heard a story from a young lady who was opening her business, and by the time she had leased a building, got the permits, and was going, she had already wasted like a month's worth of her lease when she could have been had her doors open selling a product. So now, is that a staffing issue? Is it how we're getting the information back to the people when they come and apply for things? That needs to be looked into. I mean,
Do you think
that's a great
we're
question.
heading towards being more of a bedroom community?
I would not say the county as a whole is. I mean, obviously, if you got like South County, okay, Hidden Valley, okay, I guarantee
Your district.
I guarantee you a better part of that is somewhat of a bedroom community. But it is a good blend down there. You got folks willing to retire in that area, and they're spending their money. They're bringing their tax dollars. They're spending it in the area. So, I mean, folks are traveling off the hill to go to Costco once a month. At least all the people that are in my group, you're going to dig your big shopping out of the area.
Which is
So,
bad. We want them to keep the dollars here.
And there you go.
And there's no, as a bedroom community, usually what comes with that is the shopping centers and things like that, which we don't have.
Right.
And Hidden Valley is the second largest population base in the county.
Right.
So that seems like there's room for development down there. Of course, seeing the battle they gave against the Dollar General store, I'm not sure if any big store is going to work down there because it seems like people want to keep things the way they are.
Right now, based on the I'm sorry.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Based on the latest statistics that were just released by the state, we have over a 12.5% unemployment rate in this county. I think we have one of the highest dropout rates of high school in this county. The only jobs that are available, if they can get a job, are minimum wage jobs, which, you know, you got to start from somewhere, obviously.
Sure.
I've asked this to everyone. What can government, and I have my own answers, do to help generate additional jobs here, or to have employers have the ability to hire staff above and beyond their needs to provide proper training to these people so they can move on to higher paying jobs?
Well, two things I would comment on that is, okay, what county jobs are available? Can't we mentor those young folks up into those roles? Are there like internships or volunteer programs out of the schools where we can mentor young folks into, hey, you may not go out and play in the NFL, or you may not go out and be the superhero that's on the Wheaties box, but you know what? You're hometown grown. You know, you love the area. You know what it encapsulates here. Maybe you get your 2-year education, or you go off and get your 4-year degree. I want to bring that training and education back into the county. I think that's huge. And it's the idea that once you understand your family structure, hey, you've already have, you know, neighbors and friends and folks that want to be committed to the county. But number one, yeah, we'd love to have folks that are born and raised here back in those jobs. That'd be great, you know. But the idea that mentoring folks from either getting them away from bad circumstances, whether it be, you know, drugs or street crimes or whatever they're into, there's a mentoring gap there.
There is no support system for anybody. Mental health is not serving the people the way they should.
Right.
I think you're right. I think we need to have a cohesive approach and more holistic as far as intervention with people that have issues.
And I think even an open line of communication with the volunteer groups that can help out with that. You touched on mental health a little bit there. One of the issues that in Sonoma County we've implemented is a mobile support team. It's a mobile unit that will come out and assess individuals
Exactly.
with us.
That's what
so there's
we
different
need.
models that
Yeah.
I'm aware of, whether it be homeless issues, mental health, that I have bring that experience from other counties.
How do you feel about the homeless?
Well, you have to look at that issue on a case-by-case basis. There's some seriously unfortunate folks that just cannot support themselves. They need a hand up, not always a hand out. Get them in the right direction. There's some folks just can't care for themselves.
Would you
Some
support a
have
shelter?
chosen that lifestyle. As an intermediary. Yeah. Sorry, I'm running on a few hours sleep.
I know.
But in any case, homeless, you know, it's a huge problem in Sonoma County. We have a host team that's available over there. It's a support structure with like Catholic Charities and the volunteer groups to get folks into a housing situation. Do I think that we should just spend all the taxpayers' money and just build, you know, a large area for folks to just habitate in when they haven't really chose to better themselves in any regard? I think
Well,
it's
I
I think
like
it's
to
a
think
combined
that
approach.
a shelter would be a place where people would be have a case issued, a caseworker issued to them. They would be evaluated. They would have to be able to comply with certain regulations, like if they needed to go into rehab, they needed to get into that, and that there would be some kind of a structured, it wouldn't be a free-for-all where people of any homeless base could come in and live in the shelter. This is one of the things that Mr. Brown is always saying, you built it and they will come. Well, they're not going to come if they get in the door and they find out that they have to get into job training, they have to get into rehab, they have to go back to school, or they have to do something to help themselves, and they have a limited amount of time they can stay there, and if they don't toe the line, they have to go. I think that's how you really have to do it.
I don't think we could turn a blind eye on our neighbors.
No, we can't.
Okay,
and
so,
to
I mean,
say no shelter is just absurd.
And you know, it's hard for me when I talk to some homeless folks and I see like veterans in there.
Yeah.
Folks that are just caught up in
Well, they are
something.
doing something for the veterans.
They need a
That's true.
step of help. And like I say, you need to look at a lot of those on a case-by-case basis.
Exactly.
I don't think we need to just build this huge facility. But like you say, if there's an intermediary habitation for them to get them out.
Well, that's what the
of
tiny house
situation.
program is
It
supposed
creates
to
a break
accomplish.
there.
Yeah.
It creates a break from them. And if, like I said, there's drug rehab or things like that, resources available to them. And
Exactly.
And like
They
I say,
have to get a hand up. Some people just need a hand up.
Exactly.
And they've been victims of circumstance. And I think we have to, as you say, help our fellow man and put a hand out for them.
Right.
Okay, you mentioned interns, which I think is awesome. I'm just hiring terrible words. I have an intern that is going to Yuba or whatever it's called these days.
Oh, very good.
To Woodland, thank you. Just graduating this month in her 2-year degree in accounting and business. I'm going to bring this person in, teach her the day-to-day real accounting, not just theory in school. This person is going to be given an opportunity to learn a lot more than just 2 and 2 equals 4.
Right.
At the end of the internship, and she likes me or likes what she's doing,
As long as she doesn't like you too much.
I'm going to offer her some form of compensation, whatever that may be at the time. What can the county do to work with business owners to bring in more internships? And I'll go back to the state of Arizona, where I lived for way too many years. The county provided incentives up to the first $7,000 of wages paid to either to veterans or to economically depressed individuals, to bring them in, and they, on the first $7,000, they would compensate you half of that for bringing this person on the job. And you mentioned the county is tight with funds. Well, it might be, even though it's against my opinion, but can't we reallocate funds maybe to help these people, which what it's going to do is going to generate jobs, it's going to generate training, and it's going to boost the economy.
Right. Well, I certainly don't think investing in our folks here is a bad idea. I think, it's a harder look at some of the numbers behind it, and I'm not privy to all that
No, I
at
understand
the
that.
moment.
Sure.
But, I mean, I'd be curious to look at the model you'd mentioned in Arizona there. So I'm open for suggestions
Cool.
along those lines.
Yeah, and it did work. I mean, a lot of
All right,
ex-vets got jobs.
Right.
Okay, I have a question. Of course, I have a ton.
You always have questions. You're a
But
woman.
what can you do?
Oh, hey, wait a minute.
I'm glad I was off
I
camera.
got a copy of that. Don't beat me up.
I grew up with 3 brothers. Okay, I know
okay.
I know how to defend myself against a bully.
That's right.
I'm not a bully.
Yes, you are.
No, I'm not.
You are.
Okay.
Okay, you're my bully.
Thank
It's
you.
okay. So, what are you going to do, especially between now and June, to convince voters in Lower Lake and Clear Lake that they should vote for you? Because you're kind of in that South County, Hidden Valley, Middletown area more than you are up here. So what is it that these people up in this area who are thinking about who their new supervisor is going to be, what can you offer to them that will make them want to vote for you?
Well, first of all, I spent several days canvassing downtown Lower Lake there and handing out my resume and whatnot. I plan on doing like coffee with the candidate up this way. I believe I'm entered in the Lower Lake Parade coming up on the 29th. So I want to make sure that I'm basically here and able to listen to the concerns for this area. From talking to some folks, I understand Lower Lake is underrepresented in the district at times.
Very much so.
So, and I spent some time up in Clear Lake as well. So I do have several walking events with some of my
So you're getting to know the constituents.
Absolutely. So being available to them, and basically I want to hear back from folks too.
What kind of issues have you come across besides underrepresentation as far as Lower Lake and Clear Lake?
you always hear about potholes, right? Or the idea of you got to
The roads,
prioritize
yeah.
whatever the issues may be. Let's prioritize them. And okay, folks want to hear back. Okay, you have pothole number 10. At least you know you're moving up in the list, right? So you want to hear back. What's the projection? What can we can't afford to get through? And give somebody a timeline. Have an idea.
Okay.
Be responsive back. I mean, if you're not getting back to folks, then they just hear nothing. Then they're left to wonder. So it's the idea of being available to them that way.
Okay.
So.
Did you have anything else?
I just had a brain
Brain
missing my
fart?
electrical.
He really does have brain damage. He has sports-related epilepsy, so
Sports related.
every now and then, yeah, because he was a long-distance runner and got trampled a few times.
Let me put it this
and
way: I was accident prone.
baseball player for 30 years, 40 years.
I was running a track event. I was a mile runner. Pretty,
Right.
pretty decent. And in the middle of the field where the track was, they're having a lacrosse game. So I think it was my fourth lap, ready to go for the finish line, and I get crushed by this lacrosse player from the other team. And he looked at me and said, "Get out of my way." So I had a lot of accidents like that, so I'm low. And then sliding head first in a home play where the catcher just puts the spikes in my
That
head.
just happened a couple years ago because
So-
he still plays baseball.
He won't give it up. He won't give it up.
No, I play baseball in the senior
In
men's league
Santa
in Santa
Rosa.
Rosa.
That's who you are. Don't give it
You
up
should
then.
join that team. You're
You-
nice and
you're a ball
pretty.
player?
Oh, yeah, I pitched a no-hitter when I was in ninth
No
grade.
kidding.
Well, that's what I'm. I'm a
They're-
pitcher.
They have very good.
Except I play in the 65 and over division.
I'm not quite there yet.
But there are 30 and over too.
Yeah.
So,
So,
great.
go
Make
ahead.
one last comment.
Go ahead.
We're talking about having. We've always had a live election night program.
coverage.
If we have one that's within this area, would you be willing to come up and give us a few chats while the election process is going?
We're actually going to approach Twin Pines to see if they'd let us use the event center there.
I'd be very interested in that. I know that I have a real small grassroots campaign folks who want to get together with me
Right.
that night, and
Okay. Have them all come on down.
Unfortunately, during the better part of that day, I just got served with a subpoena for a homicide case I'm working on.
Oh,
jeez.
no.
Luck of the Irish there.
Don't they know it's election day? Oh my God, what are they
Somewhere.
thinking?
So, in any case, I'd be very curious. I'd love to talk to you guys about that.
Okay,
I mean,
yeah, we'll keep you posted.
I certainly enjoyed my time here with you today.
We haven't really, well, it's not over yet.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bring it. What do you got?
Okay, so this is now, we're going to get into the more uncomfortable part of the interview, which is
that's all
there was an incident, and I'm going to apologize because I don't have the information in front of me. I guess I could pull it up. There was an incident that happened about 2007, was it? 2008? When exactly? You know what we're talking about. Where there was a young man. It was a incident where someone had a knife, and they had been called in for assistance because he was considered mentally ill, having a breakdown, and you and your partner responded, and the ultimate ending was that the young man was shot and killed. And there was an investigation that went into this. You were exonerated by your department in the sheriff's department, but then there was also a wrongful death lawsuit against the county, which did pay out to the people. So, would you like to expand on that and give us, some of your feelings about that incident and how you've moved on from there, or if you've moved on from there?
I certainly think that it's tragic on all levels for the family as such, and for my family as well. There's a lot of dynamics that took place that day, and unfortunately, in law enforcement, you're faced with critical incidences that come up time after time, and unfortunately, on that particular day, things get down to a life and death decision. And I'll tell you this, I feel that the actions that took place that day, there was no other option that was relevant or would have resolved that issue. It's very sad on a lot of levels. I know I took personal injury as part of that contact, and my family's been through quite a bit with that. And I don't know how much I am really comfortable with going into that. It is behind me to that degree, and I think at some level you come out of circumstances, critical otherwise, and you become a better person, and you try and look at things from a well-rounded approach.
Do you feel
in
it's
future.
the adrenaline that takes over? I mean, he was shot 8 times, so it's not. I mean, he had a knife. He was 16 years old. This was in Sebastopol, and it was in 2000. I want to say 2008. Obviously when you're in the heat of a situation with a person who is mentally unstable, and you're not sure how he's going to react. I could see that, as an officer and an armed person, there could be an adrenaline rush. There could be a reaction happening. There was a 6-minute delay between the time of the arrival and the time he was killed.
Well, I'm going to politely refuse to go at depth or at length into a situation that's very traumatic to me.
Okay. Fair enough.
I lived through it, but that doesn't mean that I still have recall of the situation.
I'm sure it's difficult, and I apologize for that. But what I want really to get to the point on this is, after that incident and what you have gone through as an officer, how did it affect the way you look at situations like that from that point? Would you have done the same thing if you had this opportunity to do it again, or?
I never want the opportunity again, but I would act in the same fashion.
You would, okay.
Absolutely.
So, and you were cleared, obviously, and it was
Yes.
deemed a justified thing.
Yes, and I was recognized by my department there.
But in these days right now, in our Northern California particularly, we do have a lot of incidents of people being killed by the police, and it is an issue that is across the board. It has nothing to do with your particular department. It's a lot of different departments, and we're very fortunate here that our sheriff's department has not had an incident like that in quite a long time.
That's not true.
Okay, so I'm not aware of that. If there has been someone, I've been here 6 years, and I'm not familiar of any incidents that came down. I know there was a couple of people that died while they were incarcerated, and there were suspicious circumstances. And then there was a couple of things that happened during the Mitchell administration that I'm kind of aware of. But other than that, I'm not really sure.
I guess what I would like to say is that there is in law enforcement now, there's a model in place called crisis intervention training.
Good.
So we get extensive professional training on. I mean, not to the extent that we're going to diagnose somebody's mental disorder, but the idea that how to approach an individual at certain breaks that they may have. But unfortunately, there's been cases here locally that I'm aware of, and cases in the Bay Area where a break is so severe that it can be detrimental to a life-threatening situation, either to the furtherance of the public or to the individual themselves or the officers on scene. And like I say, I'll just go back into that one time. It's tragic on all levels that any of us have to live through circumstances like that. I mean, I feel.
Oh, it's a terrible thing.
You feel terrible for folks that have, their children that maybe there's an issue with the medication they've taken or whatever. And obviously, I'm talking generically here because I think that's the most appropriate way to deal with this respectfully on all levels. But I think that getting a well-rounded approach to somebody's healing is the better part of that.
Absolutely.
Families need a lot
on
of support.
both sides. Absolutely.
Families need a lot of support.
It can't be easy
with issues. And it's certainly not easy.
Were you in the military?
No, sir.
Okay. No, I was curious.
But he's a military brat.
My dad's retired Air Force. My dad's retired Air Force.
Cool.
Okay, good. Okay. Well, just to finish that whole point on that, how do you feel about body cameras? How do you feel about alternative, like tasers and alternative ways to disable a person?
Right. I think right now there are many different tools that you can use to neutralize the situation, so to speak. Body cameras. I mean, I currently carry a body camera. The sheriff's office, I believe, they have a MAV unit in their cars and whatnot, and I'm very open to that. I think PORAC was the first group to come out throughout the nation in support of body cameras.
Great.
The correct and proper usage of them.
Great.
It's not the idea that, turn them on every time you do something wrong. Guarantee it. We've cleared many complaints off of just turning on our cameras and dealing with. We know that 99.9% of the time we're doing the right thing.
Right. Exactly.
We're not loading up in our car going, yeehaw, today's the day that we're going to go out and do something terrible. Right. I don't work with people like that. I don't want to work with people like that.
No, of course not.
We want to California has very high standards in a lot of ways. We do have peace officer standards and training throughout the state. So we have recognized training at a professional level. Most of the guys I work with all have college educations or better. We got guys that are studying for the bar right now. We got guys with a very advanced degree of education. So we are fortunate in that regard.
I do have one question. At the time of the incident that you were involved in, or how many of those tools were available at that time? Do you know?
Yeah, that's a good question.
That there were several tools that were used and ineffective. So, like I said, I don't need to go into the whole dynamic.
Go a
there.
few more
No,
minutes
if
because
you
there's
want.
still
Okay,
a
just
couple talk. If you don't mind, we're going to get you a couple of more subjects, but we're almost done. I promise
Okay,
you.
three
You
and a
need
half,
to go to
four-
bed.
4 hours of sleep.
I know.
okay.
Okay, and I really appreciate your patience. Obviously, Lake County is a cannabis county. You know, this has to come up into the discussion. You also have a background as a former DEA agent or a DEA cross-trained task force. And so you've had a history of enforcement in cannabis. And I'm not one of those people that think it should be legalized and anybody can do what they want. I personally am totally against the cartel grows, the illegal grows, the big commercial grows. I think that the only way we're going to solve that problem is through the use of regulation and enforcement. And the big problem here in Lake County with enforcement is that we have had, and we still have, a sheriff's department who deals with selective enforcement. And we've had incidents over the past year, in most recently 3 months even, where people with small quantities complying with Measure N have been busted and had, everything confiscated, lost whatever their collective was for that season, and they were in full compliance with Measure N. What do you feel is the best way for us to manage the cannabis industry here in Lake County, and do you support legalization?
Well, I think there's like 4 questions.
Right.
In there, but, in any case, I think that if the guidelines and the laws are there and the line is drawn, stay within compliance. Medicinal use and all that, I totally understand it. The laws are in place for the framework for that. As far as like you kind of made an opinion or kind of a complaint against an enforcement guideline that is being used, and that's something for kind of the sheriff to.
Yeah, I don't
to
expect
speak to
you,
himself.
but as a
And like I
supervisor,
say,
you
a
need to
lot
be aware of it.
A lot of times,
too.
what is brought up, you don't know what complaints came from different angles about things, and somebody steps over the line. I get it. Obviously, my greater concern on a lot of this is like you touched upon there is the violence behind it, the so-called guerrilla operations, ruining our forests and our
just
parks.
Stop.
And
Go
all that.
Go
'Cause
legit.
that takes away from folks that actually need medicine and whatnot. And it
Absolutely.
harbors a cloud in that regard. Now, provided, the state of California decides to take the vote and it goes through, I think that we need to have framework in place to regulate it and keep it safe to that degree. And if it's going to be taxed, then I think that implementation structure needs to be vetted out, like how many permits the county issues out for that and whatnot.
And enforced.
Absolutely.
Half the problem
And-
in Clear Lake is
and
because
it's-
they had no enforcement.
And it's the idea that basically the folks that are in compliance, if they see the so-called illegal operation going on, they're going to be the eyes and ears.
Right.
Hey, no, this guy up the street is doing the black market thing over here. That's the competition or whatever the
Well,
case
for
might be.
years there's been
So-
an underground code that they don't rat on their neighbors, because everybody's been doing it illegally all these years, and so that's a mindset I think we need to overcome to a certain extent, and
right.
try to get people to realize that those people don't help the industry when they're creating 1,000, 4,000 plant grows in a 2-acre parcel. It just
Sure.
doesn't help anybody.
And I've been on the lobbying halls of the Capitol for a lot of years now, and even going back 5, 6, 7 years, different legislators have commonly asked us as a law enforcement group, what do you think if we make marijuana, legalize it, and we just tax it for the first 3 years? All the money goes to law enforcement. And
Sounds like a bribe to me.
Obviously, that time we're like, no, we still don't agree with it, whatever, But certainly, times have changed to that degree. There's other models in other states that are working that way. have my own personal opinion on it. I don't, support it to that degree, personally. But however, that doesn't mean that, in its right place. I tell people, it's like, if somebody has their medicine or I don't want to share it with you. Okay. Yeah. Don't blow smoke in my face type
right,
thing.
Right. And that's polite.
There's got to be the respect behind it to that degree. Then again, I don't want so much of it, whatever, 2 doors down that, holy cow, now we got people casing the neighborhood, and a bunch of thugs are going to come in here and tie people up and tax them, so to speak, illegally, right? So there's got to be that balance in there, and it looks like California's working towards that. I mean, we're obviously known to be a fairly liberal or progressive state, right? So if it goes that way, then, we have to support it in the right way. The framework has to be in place and to move that thing along.
Excellent. So. Okay, well, I appreciate that, and I appreciate you coming here and subjecting yourselves to our questions. There's quite a few people listening, so I know that some people have checked in with me on Facebook and such. So I know that this has been very valuable for them as well, and we will actually have this up on our LakeCoMagazine.com page by hopefully the end of the day, if not sooner, so that you can, pass that on to other people. And I really appreciate your candor and your ability to accept some of the questions, because I know it wasn't easy, but they need to be asked because people need to know who you are. And when we talk about our supervisors, they're like family to us. So we're going to be bringing you into the family. If we're going to do that, we need to know what kind of family member you are.
Let's do it. Okay. I look forward to that part.
Might be your family.
I appreciate that very much, Jim. I really thank you for coming in.
That's great.
And good luck to you.
I'll be 4:30 to 7. I'll be at Beaver Creek Winery on Friday.
Oh, great.
So cool. Meet and greet
they
down
got
there.
good wine down there.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Organic, I believe.
It is, absolutely. It's very good.
Well, thank you so much.
Excellent. Thank you. All right, so we're going to take a quick break and come back with our Republican political pundit, Bob DeWalt. Okay, thanks for sticking around, and we'll be back in a few minutes. You are on Lake County Magazine with Terry.
And Pete the Tax Guy.
All righty.
Now you know that this here country's been going to hell for quite some time. We got a record unemployment and crazy corporate crime. Those folks out there in Washington, they haven't got a clue. But ever since I was a little kid, they said there's one thing you can do. I'm gonna run for president. I know this job was heaven sent. I'm gonna wear a great big smile, run the country for a little while, have my hands right there on all the tools, have a chance of changing all the rules, brush my teeth each night with Pepsodent. I'm gonna run for president. Now you know I love this country, but you know it don't seem right when we got snipers and smallpox warnings and folks going hungry each night. The air is all polluted, the water ain't fit to drink. We're on the verge of World War III, so I just started to think I'm gonna run for president. I know this job was heaven sent. I'm gonna wear a great big smile, run the country for a little while, have my hands right there and all the tools, have a chance of changing all the rules, elect someone who's competent. I'm gonna run for president. So let's have universal health care and a job for everyone. We'll clean up the environment, the schools will all be fun. We're gonna need new leaders, but we'll respect our elders too. The world will live in global peace, and I will promise you I'm gonna run for president. I know this job was heaven sent. I'm gonna wear a great big smile, run the country for a little while, have my hands right there on all the tools, have a chance of changing all the rules. Let me decide just how your money's spent.
Surf Rider. Oh, surfer, 1 million gun salute. Respect due. Might sound cute, but are the truth. Watch this, man. Easy. Mama nature. Mama nature. Mama nature. Come in, Stevie Wonder Man. It's getting to a state of emergency. People believe me. True. Look what we're doing to the land and seas. The plants and trees. Take a look at the atmosphere. Oh Lord, pollution everywhere. Seems like some of us just don't care. While so many are living in fear. Oh, Mama Nature. Sing out, Mama Nature. Mama Nature. Follow me now, Surf Rider. And I saw me say, Surf Rider, you better ride with care, Surf Rider. Surf Rider. No make we all get together through any kind of weather. United we can make this world a little better. We want all the people on the land to make a little contribution towards Mama Nature, Mama Nature, Mama Nature. Saxophone. Mama Nature. I listen to the birds and bees. Mama Nature. Now everybody is on balling, global warming. Some of them are preach that the end is dawning. But through the trouble and the strife, as long as there is liquor, like we must unite to make it alright. Sing along, Surf Rider. And I saw me say, Surf Rider, you better ride with care, Surf Rider. Surf Rider, ride for mankind. Take a look at the atmosphere. Oh Lord, pollution everywhere. Seems like some of us just don't care, while so many are living in fear. Mama Nature, Mama Nature, Mama Nature, Mama Nature. Rider, and I saw me say, Surf Rider, Mama Nature. Rider, and I saw me say, Surf Rider, Mama Nature. 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 Mama Nature.
All righty.
We are
We are
back.
back, and we have a full house today. So exciting.
I hope you enjoyed that interview.
I did.
Um,
I thought it was, you know what? This is the problem with District 5. I mean, I have my favorite. I'm not going to say who it is, but we probably already said it in
Yeah,
a different
probably.
show.
That's okay.
but the point is that there's nothing but, I think that all these candidates have nothing but the best in their minds for Lake County. you know, and I really appreciate that. By the way, the music we heard was candidate for president, Green Party candidate, Daryl Cherney from Humboldt, and that song was called "I'm Gonna Run for President." He predicted it back in the Real American CD that came out back in, I think, 2004. Okay, he predicted he's going to run for president, and he is. So, and then we also had Pata Banton with Mama Nature, and then this last song we had was
Come on, think.
I'm
I know.
yeah, that was Mama Nature, Pata Banton.
All right.
So that's where we're at. Caught everybody up on the music, and now you know what you're listening to. And we're back with our pundits,
Pundits?
the political pundits,
Okay.
right wing and left wing, Bob DeWalt and John Brosnan. Can you switch over there, Heidi?
Yeah, don't look at me.
And we could take
There
our
you go.
names off of their faces. There you go. And you can move that way just a little bit
This
more.
way?
Snuggle up to
There you
Bob.
go.
There you go.
Bob's harmless.
Oh, okay.
His
Thank you for
volume's
sharing
not-
that. Huh?
His volume is not
Yeah, I don't think anybody's up yet.
up. Okay.
Okay, now you're both up.
Okay.
So I thought that was a really good interview. There's things, you know, people need to talk about, and I think we got all the big subjects out there.
I think so.
I still feel as a little too much of a one-trick pony in the sense that safety and law enforcement is his number one priority, which I do appreciate that, but I think there's a lot other issues that he should probably learn
Yeah.
more
There's one
about.
question I forgot to ask. So,
About.
would he show some form of prejudice or favoritism in a budgetary process
Towards
towards
the
the sheriff's department versus
Well,
other
I think
needs?
he answered that by saying that number one priority is ending recidivism and increasing staff. So I think the answer to that question would be yes. Yeah. So
Very complex web.
It is, but
it is.
And it is a web.
Yes.
Okay.
Speak- speak closer to the
just
mic.
like the World
Thank
you.
Wide
There you go,
Web.
much
It's
better.
a web.
Yep.
And in the community of recidivism,
Easy for you to say.
Recidivism.
recidivism
Wait.
rate.
Yes.
So the return back to jail for the people
Yes.
that turn back to jail. Okay, the bottom line is.
Well,
is
they're
that
talking about also the not only that, but the officers that leave too, going into other. They take
Districts.
their training here and they go back and they go
that's-
into
that's-
other.
Well, that happens here with the administration too. I mean, that happens everywhere. People come here who are maybe not in the top 10% of their class, and they come here
Bless you.
and they get their start, they get their resume started, and then within 3 to 5 years, they're off and down
Right.
the road.
Well,
Sometimes even sooner.
We discussed that, so I don't want to. I
Okay.
mean, my
didn't
opinion.
hear you.
Yeah,
that's
that's fine.
okay.
I disagree with that analysis, but that's okay.
Oh, okay.
What you said is right.
Well, it's correct. I don't know.
Yeah,
if it's
no.
right.
What you okay, it's correct. What I'm getting is I had a different way of approaching that subject
Sure.
on how to keep those people. And what I said, we don't need to go into it, was we need to have a positive marketing of attracting people here instead of a negative.
Well,
Negative
yeah,
meaning,
I understand what you mean.
Okay,
Peter.
all
I
right.
do. And that takes time too. That's another in-house issue.
Yeah,
As I said
it is.
earlier, if you want to change something, yourself included, if you want to change yourself, it's an inside job. If you want to change a government, it's an inside job. And people back in the 60s when we were all protesting the Vietnam War, it was done through protests. You seen what they did with that? What is that? Sit-in in New York? What was that one? That
in New
thing?
York or
Occupy whatever.
Wall Street?
Yeah, so that's an old idea trying to work in the 21st
Right.
century. That's a 20th century idea that kind of worked, sort of, in Vietnam era and civil rights era. But I don't know how much work it worked, but what did work for the civil rights was those kids being killed. And so when things, it's always when things go to a crisis that both government and constituency and citizenry say, okay, we got to do something about this. But very seldom is it done prior.
Right.
And it usually takes things to get to crisis. And
Once
if
it-
things are good, everybody's happy.
Yeah.
No one's checking out the web or checking out whether or not they're doing anything wrong. A good example of that is Wall Street. They've been doing things wrong. And the banking, they've been doing things wrong. And if you're paying attention to the national news, you're going to hear it repetitive over and over. It's all happening now in the nation's capital.
Right.
We're looking closely.
Well, what's interesting is that when the first banking problems occurred, 08, 09, whatever it was, no one was being punished. up to last year, no one was being punished at the Wall Street or the big corporate level, right? All of a sudden, due to, I believe, public pressure,
Well, absolutely.
the media, the social networks, all of a sudden, guess what? People are being
Woken up.
well, what? No, people are being prosecuted as a criminal act, and they're going to jail now.
Because here's what happened. The constituency of the United States of America, the people, said we've had enough. And these rubber-stamped politicians that come out with no passion, with no fervor, have to read the cue card, have to learn copy what Bernie said. You know, let's duplicate what Bernie does because he seems to be picking up people. People are sick and tired of being lied to, but worse than that, they've been manipulated.
Yeah.
And they have been abused and pushed out of their homes. And this is about two things. One, covering up the inadequacy of capitalism left unchecked, which is what Bernie Sanders represents. Let's check this out. He's a form of socialism.
Right.
He joined the Democratic Party so that he could
He's a
get.
democratic socialist.
That's
It's
right.
not the
And
same as a Russian socialist.
That's correct. He's not a socialist per se.
Right.
But he is a democratic socialist, and the reason we have those is because that's the only thing that balances or keeps things in check. When Citizen United came in, it was over.
Right.
His history. And that's what drove Trump to the seat of presidency of the Republican Party, and that's what drove guys like Bernie to the top of the seat.
Right.
So we have locally here in Lake County a petri dish. If you want to see how the nation is run, you want to see some of their assets, you want to see some of their shortcomings, come here. Come here for 4 or 5 years and just get involved, be of service, work for an agency, bring your own business, whatever.
Right.
But you come here and you can see exactly what the nation is up against as well.
Right. Bob, you were kind of laughing or grinning there. Why?
Oh, I was just you know, just.
Because you guys are two opposite ends
Mr.
of the
Conservative
You know, I'm
versus
for
Mr.
Trump,
Liberal.
and I'm like.
You're for
I'm
Trump?
agreeing
Oh
with
my
the left,
God! I'm
you
going to
know,
unfriend
about-
you
about-
immediately.
Okay. Why are you for Trump?
Well, I'm for Trump because he's going after the corruption in Washington.
He's part of the corruption. He
Just
thinks
as the left,
Ugh.
currently with Bernie, is trying to go after the corruption in Washington. The only thing I don't like about Bernie is he was part of that corruption for many, many years.
And you
as
don't think
senator.
Trump
and
has
he's
been
still
corrupt
part
his
of it.
entire life?
I think
mean,
one of
seriously.
the things that I have come to understand is that when you're in government, this is my own personal belief, but the way government technically was set up, okay, was that it had checks and balances. The whole concept of our freedom during the Independence War to create a constitution that can keep things in checks and balances, and part of that was the citizenry, the people. The Constitution was written for us. What's happened is since then is that we have a situation where corporate America got through the Supreme Court using the Constitution and twisted it and turned it, and now we can buy all the candidates we want. Once that happens, then they all send their money into offshore island accounts, and like the Walmart family, they keep those accounts rotating globally so they don't collect no moss. Rolling Stone gathers no moss. Rolling Stone gathers no
Rolling
tax
Stone
base.
pays
Okay,
no
you do
taxes.
realize that's legal if you do it the right way.
But the point is again, it's not about right versus correct or right versus wrong. It's about what is going to sustain a community. And so there is no sustenance in if we're taking tax money that's allegedly initially generated to support the community. The purpose of taxes was to support the community. It came from tithing, the same thing you had in churches. Every community knew that no farmer could stand alone. You just can't. You can't have a perfect crop every year. You can't have a perfect income every year. And so they knew the need of community. We are a social animal. Okay, whether it's done religiously or it's done like the Masons or the Oddfellows, you need to present extended family environment. The tax base was supposed to do that. Taxes was giving a share. Good job. Whose phone is that?
Probably for me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not us.
It's a client. Some of us do make work for a living, you know.
Oh, yeah, like
Yeah.
Bob and I don't work. I don't know
Exactly.
Bob, but I know I do.
Bob's
So-
retired. Come on.
But so the thing is taxes need to be distributed. Distributed, is that the right word?
Distributed.
Distributed.
Distributed. I hope Dallas isn't.
I'm not
laughing.
laughing at you,
No, that's
John.
okay. You can laugh. They tell me I make up words all the
Well,
time.
Dallas
I'm like,
doesn't
okay.
listen to us, so you don't
But
have
anyway,
to worry.
distribute it
Distributed.
appropriately. And that's what our problem is here. You know, Trump is the same deal. It's like it's not so much we need to raise our taxes. We just need to have everybody pay their fair share of
on,
taxes.
on that subject, and I've said this many times on our shows, just have no idea why, is that years ago when I had to do my continuing education class, the IRS holds them, and they're very cheap, so it's worthwhile going. I was in a meeting with probably 200 other accountants, and the second in charge of the IRS was there. And he was just bragging. Due to our tax enforcement, due to our revenue agents, we've collected, I'm making up a number, $500 million this year from taxes that had not been paid. And he was proud as hell about this. Let me rephrase that. He had assessed over $500 million in taxes. He was proud. So we had a question and answer period. So at the end, I kind of went, I have a question. I'm just a little peon here from Phoenix, Arizona. Of that, how much did you collect? And what was the cost of collection? Now, if looks could kill, I would have been not only 6 foot under, I would have been thrown out to sea. Because the amount of money he collected versus the amount of money they assessed was less than half. Then I asked him what was the cost of enforcement, and he just walked off the podium and said, that's the end of our class. So there's more to the story about redistributing taxes.
Well, there's more to all of it, Peter, and the more to the story, in my opinion, is community involvement is lacking at a national level, at a local level. And when the community gets involved, as I said earlier, it's when their single issue comes up, then they're in the fray. The minute their issue is either resolved or denied, then they're gone back again.
Right.
And
Well,
that's
I think
why
there's way too much trust in our government leaders, too.
Well, yeah, we all need to be reminded that we are the government, and whether we're paid to be in the position or whether we're of service contributing to our community, we have a major impact. And to think, like our voting, to think that our vote doesn't count, and to think that our being of service in the community at some aspect doesn't count, I can tell you right now, is dearly wrong. It is not the accurate analysis. Ever since I ran, some of the things that happened to me were forced upon me.
Now, some people may not know, but John ran for District 3 supervisor last
2 years
election.
2 years ago.
Right.
But it started 3 years ago. And it started about 5 or 6 years ago with the Green Farmers. And there I was really just full-blown John. No edges, smooth,
you didn't have
nothing.
Cut and dry.
No filters.
I was trying to herd what I thought were a group of cats, right? And so, but I learned a lot. And the thing is, what I learned in politics, though, is that once you get exposed to it, and if you're, for me, my position was to be of service. It was to not make a career out of it. As a matter of fact, my platform was to rotate out after 4 years. I did not want a pension. I have my own trust fund. I have access to funds even if I don't work. The point I'm trying to make, though, is that my purpose for running was to be of service, to represent the people. And then when I find the people, like I'm at the North Shore Community Center, which was called the Lucerne
Senior
Alpine
Center.
Senior Center.
Yeah.
And so I got on that board because I was invited after I ran, I think, and had lost the election. And so since I've been on that, I see the infrastructure of that community, that 501c3, see some of the problems that came about. And so there wasn't anything I could do except for put money into it over and over. And that wasn't getting it anywhere. So I finally had to do an assessment. We had to do a viability study to see whether or not it could sustain itself. And we pretty much knew it couldn't at the rate it was going. With that crisis, though, came a front page newspaper on the front page. I didn't even read it for a month and a half later until someone told me they wrote. I mean, I remember doing the interview, but I wasn't certain that there'd be. But anyway, it turned out on the front page just recently. With that crisis, the community got involved. Now, the crisis was, okay, first they came with pitchforks and torches. How come this is happening? Was it under your watch, Brosnan? And it's like, well, no, it was already ongoing before I came here to assist. And I established the difference between assisting someone and helping someone. There's a big difference.
Right.
When you assist somebody, you are contributing to the already going workforce. When I got there wasn't one. We had a board that had been doing the best they could. They got burnt out. They were in their 80s and 70s. They had heart problems. They had eye problems. They had some died. So it left us
that
with
was
4 board
tragic.
members, right?
Right.
And so we had to do a feasibility study. There was nothing left to do. But like 2008 and like what we're experiencing now with Trump and Bernie Sanders, we're getting a raising, a awareness level is being raised. So through the crisis, all these people came initially to find the bad guy, and they didn't find any bad guy. And what they found was a lack of participation by the community.
Right.
And that, my friend, is the only reason that place suffered, because like most people constituency, they want the politician or the chairperson to do all the work for them.
Right.
It's easy to come into a board meeting or a supervisory meeting and give all these, you should do this, you should do that, but actually implementing it and getting it done requires a community.
Right. Okay. I want to get more into the primaries that just happened yesterday in February, but one comment to you, and we can talk about this off the air. If you need anyone in your project here, in regard to your accounting or tax returns of the nonprofit status, I'll be happy to volunteer my work for that.
Well, thank you, Peter, because
Yeah.
that is coming up. That is an issue that was up in our board meeting last night.
Yeah. Just pay me $1 an hour. No. Just
Right.
kidding.
Well, whatever.
I'm
We'll
just
definitely-
joking.
We'll definitely take into consideration.
Yeah, I'd be happy
you
to
know.
volunteer and help out there.
Yeah,
Sure.
that's good.
I've worked with other nonprofits who had problems. I won't say that had to be worked out, so I'm familiar with that. So, okay, you're quiet. Welcome back, Bob.
Well, thank
We've
you.
missed your commentary,
Oh,
and
we're so glad to see your smiling face.
even though you're totally right wing,
We
which
love
I used
ya.
to be.
my
I'm not
favorite
that
Republican.
right-wing. Even though I am for Trump, but
I just,
my issues
sorry.
with the state of California and other states, especially in California where it's liberal progressive, we have all these retirement funds, firemen, policemen, this politician, that politician. They're not sustainable.
Well, let's look.
There's nothing that they can come up with to say that they can sustain these salaries or these retirement funds for all these people.
Let's take Clear Lake, the city of Clear Lake. They will go broke and will have to file bankruptcy once these pensions have to start being paid out, especially the chief of police and some of the other hierarchy of that town.
And that's exactly where California's headed right now. We're $124 billion or $1 million in the red presently, and we're going further, and we're going to go bankrupt. All these cities, in San Francisco, Oakland, all Stockton, all these places are going bankrupt because they cannot sustain these kind of retirement funds.
Even though we're building,
nobody's come up with a plan in this progressive state of how they're going to save it. Bernie hasn't come around and say how he's going to save that situation. So I'm just wondering about the whole thing. We just can't keep raising taxes every year. It just isn't going to.
We're living in Wonderland, right?
yes,
Wondering what's going to happen.
wondering what's going
Right.
to happen. But yet, our less, and again, I can be totally wrong in what I hear sometimes because I don't always pay attention. I'm brain damaged, right? Is that
Good excuse.
I know, I love the excuse. Is that Governor Brown has been trying to, quote, balance the budget. He's cut money here, he's cut money there, he's then passed bonds for the school systems, blah, blah, blah. Yet he's spending billions and billions of dollars on this stupid high-speed rail system between nowhere to somewhere. And you're right.
Like the smart train.
Yeah. Well, in this case, maybe the dumb train, but we have better concerns over transportation needs, even though he says it's going to open up the rural area to the big city. I'm not sure why or
What does that mean? Oh, I mean access?
Yes,
to,
yeah.
Well,
big farming products. I'm not that familiar with that area. But the point is here, what are our priorities in government? How do you balance the budget knowing we are billions of dollars in debt when the retirement programs start coming into place in pension funds? I don't know if anyone has the answer. It's a difficult question. Where do you rob Peter to pay Paul?
well, I think it goes back to the tax structure again and distribution of that tax structure. It's really the distribute. We have plenty of money. We print it up every day. We don't have gold.
Well, California
So
does.
we have a monopoly game. Come on, everybody knows this. I mean, you'd have to be really, whether you're a Republican or Democrat, at this stage of the game, it's time for a third party, and it's a consolidation of the men like Bob and the men like John. It's like, okay, if Bernie doesn't win, I will seriously consider voting for Trump. Seriously. Now, I got a lot of Democrat friends that are just rolling over right now going, you're out of your mind.
Well,
but the point I'm trying to make is that the reason Bernie and Trump are at such high proportions of acknowledgement by the citizenry is because they're tired. We're
agree.
tired of our tax dollar, okay? Us who work their ass off for a tax dollar not being distributed towards what will benefit me. I am an independent contractor, 26 years, licensed. It costs me $12,000 a year just to keep my license status. That's a lot of money. It's $1,000 a month in a repressed community. But if I want to remain legal, I got to have these things in place.
Right.
my tax dollar contributes to the governmental agencies that overlook the insurance companies, that overlook the banking companies, and they're doing a lousy job because Citizens United gave these corporations the privilege and the right to give them so much money they have to put them in an offshore island account and rotate it around the world so it doesn't gather any moss, so they don't have to pay taxes. And they'll eventually pay a portion, but nothing near.
Let me give you an example of what you just stated. When I worked for American Airlines, it was at Kennedy Airport, excuse me, and I met this gentleman who worked for Citibank, and I asked him what he did.
Citibank's in big trouble right now.
Well, this was when Citibank was tiny. Well, yeah, it's big trouble. I said, what do you do? Oh, I work in the computer room. Oh, okay, I'm pretty savvy. What do you do? I transfer funds. Okay, what? If you're talking about personal accounts from one to another, you go for. You're shaking your head. He said, no, I work 10-hour shifts or 12-hour shifts back then. And all I do is transfer money from one bank to another bank because this one's closing. So I'm going to go from New York to L.A., from L.A. to Tokyo, from Tokyo to Moscow, from Moscow back to New York.
Bingo.
And the amount of money they made through overnight deposits of rotating that in the currency exchange, they never paid taxes because the money was never in one spot.
Right. And Bob and I both understand that this is a complex problem.
Yes.
But a problem nonetheless, and Trump is telling everybody he can deal and address that problem. Whether or not he can.
Trust me, his money's been offshore longer than we've been
I'm
alive.
aware of that, Terry.
That's the problem.
Well, I'm
here-
aware, but you know,
Except for
he's taking
maybe
advantage
Bob.
of the stupid laws we have in this country.
I heard him even say, my money's offshore, but the law allows it.
Right.
Right.
So his moral compass does not exist.
Exactly. There is no moral compass. That's our problem.
Okay.
If the law allows me to do something, it doesn't mean that I'm going to do it.
Right.
It
However,
doesn't mean that I'm going to
If
do it
it's
at all.
wrong, it's wrong. You shouldn't be doing it.
let me give you an example. Let's say you make a widget, and your widget's sold overseas. But because it's sold overseas, you have either double taxation or you have other costs involved, including a massive amount of taxes from the United States. Within the tax law, you can create what they call an FTC, Foreign Trade Corporation. It's based in the United States. But if you sell products overseas within a sub-company or subsidiary company, you don't have to pay taxes in this country.
You pay it in the other country?
Yes, unless
Depends if
you're in a
country
quote
has
tax
tax.
haven.
Right.
And that's what AT&T did.
Right.
They created a subsidiary in the Isle of Man, and they were providing
No taxes.
a product
Right.
and services to Europe.
Right.
So even though they're based in the United States, they paid 0 U.S.
Right.
taxes.
And if Bob doesn't have anything to say about this, I will. Do you have something you want to comment? Because I'll tell you, if you don't, my commentary
Well,
regarding...
you're going to let him answer the question?
Well, he's looking like he doesn't have anything. You got something to say there, Bob?
Well, no, not particularly. I'd like to see all these companies come back to the United States.
Well, that's
exactly.
what
And, I think it's wrong,
even though it's
And-
legal.
And I'm pretty sure that Trump probably thinks it's wrong, too.
But
Well,
that's,
definitely.
that's my
Exactly.
point. He
Well,
knows it's
NAFTA
wrong,
and
but
the
he still
TTIP,
does it.
the
But
NAFTA...
well, he's a businessman. He ain't a billionaire for nothing.
Right.
Well, NAFTA and the Trans-Pacific deal, both those deals are very much a part of the global economy
Yep.
that Clinton was telling us about when he was introducing the Internet Highway. He knew, and they all knew, corporate America and government knew that in 2000, and now it's 2016, the 21st century was going to be global economics, and the way we were going to be able to accomplish that was with a matrix such as the Internet and the technology. But what's happened is it's become a runaway cart. When I was in political science, I told my professor, this is like watching a runaway cart down in Cabo or Mexico somewhere in a dirty, bumpy, potholed street, and the fruit and vegetable cart is running down out of control, hitting bumps, fruit and vegetables flying off, everybody running up and grabbing them. No one's trying to stop the cart from getting to the bottom of the hill,
That's
which
a
is going to
great
run into
analogy.
that adobe brick wall that's down there. And everybody grabs all the fruit and vegetables. The cart goes down, smashes, gets crushed into a million pieces. And the people that went out and grabbed the fruit are selling it for $5 of fruit. And that's what's happening. They took us hostage.
Yep.
The system fell. This computer system, this technology is a great, great gift. But misused, it will be the destruction. Mankind cannot keep up pace with it. And that's why the tax structure, we can't catch up with it. If we can simply, for example, all these regulations and rules that were proposed to help us do global economics and take our corporations out and benefit us here gave us tax breaks to give us the incentive to move forward. At what point does the Walmart, like they get, I think allegedly they make $1 billion a day. I'm not sure. Gross.
Right.
So if they are using.
That is gross.
Yes, it is. but here's the thing. Listen, I have heard people tell me over and over and over when I talk about people collecting pensions or people amassing more power and wealth. It's like there's nothing wrong with doing that. But when when it can be shown that there's a schematic that can show that you are hurting a group of people, then you have to be held accountable. But they're not doing that. They're not being. So here's what happened. They gave them these incentives to be able to move forward. They got those incentives. They moved forward. They collected all these. The Walmart family collected over $1 billion a year in profit. That profit should be taxed 10%. That's $100 million that they should pay. That would give them 900. Figuratively speaking, theoretically speaking, $900 million profit. They pay 10%. Okay, $100 million. You would be amazed at how many people would say, "No way, I'm not paying that $100 million. I worked hard for it." It's like, well, the idea is not how hard you work. The idea is are you giving your tithing? Are you paying the taxes that we all know is required to sustain a community, not to be in line with the law, not to, we had plenty of politicians like Brown, not Rob Brown.
Yeah,
here,
I know,
but,
Jerry.
What's his name? Not Jerry, the other guy. Willie Brown.
Oh,
he
Willie
was our
Brown.
family
Willie
attorney.
Brown.
Before he became mayor
Really?
and all that, he was our family attorney. He became Speaker of the House, right, our assembly. He could actually get his toenails across the line. He knew how to go right to the line and then his toenails go over, okay? And that's to be commended. But the bottom line is when you exceed this gross amount of profit and the country is unraveling, that only tells you one story. That's like that fruit cart. Everybody's abandoning the current modality of how this country has been operating. And I think that's what's really missing here is the public doesn't really realize that, we're in the process of making a major shift to fit to global economics.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And so we need to pull a rein in on that.
Yeah. Let's change the subject just a little bit. The exit polls yesterday for both the Republican and Democratic primaries. On the Democratic side, the exit polls showed that, and I hate to use this term, but white women and white men were basically extremely uncomfortable with Hillary and basically said, I will not vote for Hillary because, number one, we don't trust her, and number two, she has no clue about the economic viability of this country and had no game plan on how to improve the economics. And that took a lot of people by surprise because here we got a real good Democratic party. Thank you. And they're saying, screw you. I don't like this candidate. I'm going to vote for Bernie.
Right.
And on the Republican side, everyone's just conceded to Trump, be it right or wrong, good or bad, and said there are no other candidates. One's way too religious based.
Come on, Paul Ryan's waiting in the wings.
Yeah, I agree with you on
Yes,
that
he
one.
is.
Absolutely.
When the Pope comes all the way across from Rome, whispers in one speaker's ear, he steps down and a new one comes in, and then the first business of order is addressing the interns at the house and says to them immediately, listen, I'm a Catholic and I choose to practice my Christian faith under the Catholic banner. Now, that's not a coincidence that the Pope came and now we got a Catholic at the Speaker of the House. And the Pope is one of the most powerful major
If not the-
CEOs
right.
in the world of global corporate economics.
Well, let's talk about that because,
We got a big war coming, my friend.
yeah, we have a Republican Party
Real big one.
that makes up their own rules on the fly.
Yeah.
That's
Okay?
because they're corporate.
Use whatever terminology you want. The thing is that Trump is going to definitely get the majority of delegates. Right? Cruz and whoever was, and
John Kay.
yeah,
Kasich
they
was-
got 3,000 votes each, and Trump got
Right.
over 70% of the thing.
Right.
So no matter what, he is going to have the majority of the delegates.
Mm-hmm.
According to what I understand, and it may not be right, of the Republican Party and during their convention, is that they can change the rules, where Trump can literally, even though he has the majority of delegates, cannot be the consensus candidate. That they can have someone else come in and actually say, nah, we're going to nominate him anyway.
Well, both parties have that option.
Do they? I wasn't sure about the
change-
Democrats.
They
Electoral.
change the rules all the time.
So my
You know?
point is, Trump could be the nominee, and the Republican Party said, you know something, we don't like your tactics. We're going to make Paul Ryan the candidate instead. They have the capability of doing that.
Well, that's the delegates. That's the electoral voting power, and that's what started this whole thing about Bernie versus Hillary. The delegates and the super delegates.
Right.
Okay, so what's happened now is that the Hillary campaign, in my opinion, has had enough cash because she has all these endorsements by Wall Street.
Yeah, how many times has she been to San Francisco?
How many
last month?
people has she paid? How many delegates have gotten acceptable money? The
Right.
Citizens United says they can do this. How many of them have gotten trips to the Bahamas? How many? Everybody who runs for office ought to have their bank accounts open to the public. Period. Plain and simple. Wide open. And so we can, not that they're doing something wrong or illegal, but if they're doing something morally wrong, we ought to know about it. Okay? And if the delegates and super delegates are getting all these monies and gifts and traveling things like doctors got from pharmaceutical companies, we, the patients, ought to know about it.
You
And
talking
that's
about
all it is.
the kickbacks?
They call it transparency, Peter.
I know.
Transparency. And if you can't be transparent, you're hiding something. And unfortunately, the nature of the business in politics and in corporate America with the legal system is all about hiding. That's why you have these write-offs and these island accounts. It's all about not letting the public completely and totally be aware of what you really have. If you speculate, if you get conspiracy theories, that's fine. They're good keeping you there. But the minute it's like black and white, now change must come. And the question is, well, who's going to change? Not me. You change.
Hell
and that's
no.
really the bottom line. Right.
So I'm not quite sure if Hillary, even though on paper she's already has enough votes theoretically to win the nomination. Do you think Sanders actually has a chance to come back and actually possibly be the nominee?
I don't think so. You know, and I think my primary problem here with the whole thing is looking at the whole situation is if the Democratic Party and the Republican Party continue their tactics, they're going to force that third party. Absolutely. And Trump will be the head of that third party, or Bernie, will join them.
Right.
Right. The two
In
together.
that third.
The two together.
How about a Trump-Bernie ticket?
That would be the
Almost
that would be the
coming.
perfect ticket. That would be the perfect ticket.
Well, I got
you'd have
mad
the
at Bernie when he turned Democrat because he always has been an independent.
That's right.
And he, you know, I feel if he goes back to being an independent, I don't know if there's ability to do that at this point in the game. But if he went back on the November ballot as an independent, I think he could actually
Wasn't
win
that
this
what
thing.
Nader did, right? And stole the
Nader did that as
Ralph
a Green
Nader.
Party. He was a
right.
Green
Well, whatever.
Party
He went to a
member.
third-party presence and took a lot of Democratic
but
votes.
I believe Republicans and Democrats would vote for Bernie.
Well,
I think he would draw from both parties.
Absolutely.
And
And,
could
here, and Bob, in relation to what Bob said, he was talking about what's known as polarization.
Right.
And because of this extreme polarization here in this county as well with the cannabis itself, we have all been forced, like it or not, to come to a happy medium. The medium draws the polarization to the center of the aisle. And, you know, and that's what they're doing with gambling now. They realize that they can't control it. So we have to, what do they say? If you can't beat them, join them.
Right.
So in some way we have to compromise, not in a bad way, but compromise some of our opinions that have been etched in stone and say, well, maybe I need to give this some reconsideration. So in actuality, I agree that capitalism / or democratic socialists, capitalism and socialism really need to go hand in hand. It's because our base nature is we go for more. That's just our base nature. And so socialistic type of oversight will make sure that base nature isn't allowed to run rampant. And that's what the monarchies had, and that's why we're living in what appears to be something similar to feudalistic times. Because we have a corporate America is nothing more than a monarchy now, and they have successfully got the Citizens United from the Supreme Court, and now
it's an oligarchy.
So now it's an oligarchy. So now we own the government. Okay, so if it smacks or feels like a feudalistic time in Sherwood Forest and Robin Hood and the Sheriff of Nottingham, if it feels that way, that's because it is that way.
Well, I've always been, and I have some very negative feelings about Hillary, but I've talked about that two times. I don't like Hillary mainly because she's a Clinton, and because being a Clinton, I don't need another family, as you just said, a hierarchy running for the highest office in this land. And the same thing with Bush was trying to, even though Jeb is a little bit different than his brother and his
And
dad.
Jeff had some morals. That's why Jeff could not
Thank
follow
you.
through.
Exactly. But I don't want these two families fighting for candidacy every single election. I want fresh new blood.
Right.
I want people with fresh ideas. That's what Sanders offers,
Well,
and Trump.
I think the citizens have spoken.
Yeah.
They all want it.
Yeah.
From both Republican and Democratic.
Right. And I think that there's going to be a lot of Democrats voting for Republican and vice versa this election.
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And that's why if we had a third-party candidate like Sanders or Trump or combined, they would win.
Yes.
People are so
Yes.
PO'd about everything.
Yes. We live in monumental times and monumental change. Who are living now, who have the ability to understand what's going on, are living in a time where it'll set precedent,
Right.
historical precedent, like FDR times. We came out of a depression. A lot of people like to say, if we had almost went into a depression, it's like no,
We were.
we were full up into our eyeballs. But because of Citibank and because of credit cards, it gave us the extra 6 years, which we were in a depression, but we could boot on Citi. And then at the end of that 6-year term, everybody's cards were maxed out,
Right.
hoping that it would all change, and it didn't.
Didn't.
So it gave them all the power now to go up and gobble up a bunch of other credit card companies because everybody went bankrupt. Those companies. Look at Pelosi. Isn't she isn't it Pelosi, one of our Democrats, bought into a credit card company? Didn't her and
I
her
don't
husband?
know, but that's
I don't
another
know who
person.
it was. One of those people.
I don't know, but there's some smart real estate agents out there. This one just posted something on Facebook that says, leaving the country if Trump is elected president? Give me a call and let's get your home sold.
Yeah.
Or how
There you
about
go.
buying one in the Caribbean?
Well, there you go. You see,
Yeah.
that's a exact
That's
a
American
capitalistic.
entrepreneurs.
That's right. That's
yeah.
somebody who sees an opportunity to be able to move forward in a situation that's less than pleasant.
God bless them.
God bless her is right because
Yeah.
that's why we live here in the United States. We have this opportunity, but we're not supposed to turn a blind eye. We need to keep our moral compass pointed north. I mean, that's just the way it is. And for me, if I don't want to be a criminal in any sense of the word, legal or not. I don't want to
Morally.
steal from people things that don't belong to me.
Right. Well, it was interesting. We were watching the news last night.
As we tend to do.
Yeah. And I guess, I don't know what time. It was 4:30, 5 o'clock-ish. They did a little live piece on the Bernie Sanders rally. And my wife made the comment, not me. Oh, well, we were told we should go down there and be there because, we're kind of Sanders fans. And we said, there's not many people there. Why bother? Then on the 10, 11 o'clock news, they had how many? 25,000?
Yeah.
Plus people.
Down in San
27,000
Francisco?
people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And 10,000 couldn't even get into
Right.
it.
So I'm
Right.
like, wait a minute. Okay, so we had a misconception of the
Right.
popularity
Right.
based on
Media.
news.
That's
Thank
right.
you.
The media.
Yeah.
The media. Look at Hillary owns. She needs to wear one of those flame retardant suits that they ride in NASCAR.
She needs to learn how to
that
dress.
has all their sponsors on them.
Yeah.
You know.
No, I agree with that.
She
That's,
needs because she has the power, she has the money and the connections to alter the media, to alter the vote,
Right.
to alter the delegates, and that alone should disqualify her from running for president. I mean, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's an abuse of power.
and she doesn't exactly not have
Bob, you're
skeletons.
gonna have to jump in, man, because I get on fire. So
Yeah.
Well,
not
I
trying
mean,
to-
Yeah, don't let him stop you, Bob.
I will make a wild prediction of what may happen. Is I'm seriously thinking that Bernie is not going to make it. Hillary's going to knock him out of the race. I think the Republican Party's establishment is going to establish themselves of a candidate, Paul Ryan or Lion Ted or whoever it is, to run as a third-party candidate. Trump will get mad and leave, and Bernie will get mad and leave, and both of them will join together and come to a middle consensus of what the country is, and that group will win.
and that might they won't win because they won't be able to do all that for this election. It'll take another 4 years before this can come to fruition. And if Hillary gets in.
Well, I
And-
think she'll end up in prison,
Well,
personally. But
I-
Well, there's-
But here's the thing: if she does get in, and if Trump does get in, probably Hillary will win. Even though I'm not a fan of Hillary and I won't vote for her, but I got a funny feeling majority of the people are still afraid to vote against Hillary, even though they don't want to vote for her. They're afraid they'll get something worse, and that is the number one. I guess I would say. What's the word? That's the number one defect or shortcoming of the voters, that they're really afraid to really check
Right.
what they want to check.
Well, what Bob just said a few seconds ago, today's news, it came out that it was common practice, not an exception, common practice for Hillary to use her personal email, and server while Secretary of State. Not, oh, I didn't know about this was non-confidential. No, she was using it a majority of time for government business that was confidential. The problem is the press is really squashing that. And to me, that's a very serious offense. That's our security.
Well, it's like it's like violating the Brown Act, sort of, right? Isn't it?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
I mean, it's something like that.
Yes.
It's not that, but it's like you should have a secured line. You should. This is confidential information
exactly
for politicians and government.
Right. And allegedly, I'm not saying it did. Allegedly, that caused Benghazi and all the deaths and all the problems down there because she was using a private server instead of a government server because it leaked out information. She didn't react properly. So, the problem is, though, people, that's old news. And even Bernie said, I don't want to talk about that anymore. I want to talk about the issue. Well, to me, that is an issue. It's a very serious
It's a
issue.
moral issue.
Okay, I hate to break the news, guys, but we're out of time.
Oh, hell.
I know. It's 11:59. Well, keep it rolling until
Adjust
we
that
say
clock.
our final. Didn't you just do that?
No, I just changed the hour, not the minute hand.
Oh.
And by the way, John, and Bob and I have already, and the three of us talked about this, as we progress with our media here, we want to have this type of show once a week with easy chairs and just kicking back, having a beer or two, and discuss this type of situation. No subject at hand, just whatever comes to mind.
Cup of coffee.
Yeah.
No, coffee.
Cup of coffee.
Cup of coffee.
Thank you. That's better.
Yes.
So,
exactly.
Anyway.
So yeah, we want to thank everybody for joining us today. I hope it was entertaining enough to keep you interested for the past 3 hours. It's amazing how fast.
Do you know how
those
many
3
tax
hours
returns
go.
I could do in 3 hours?
Yeah, but you're having fun. That's the key. It's a lot more fun than tax returns. Come on.
But it's not as monetarily
You're
beneficial.
just so stuck on making money. It's ridiculous. Anyway, coming from the part of the family that isn't into money as much as my husband, I'm happy to be
Did you
here.
pay the? Did you
No
pay
comment.
I'm happy to be here, and I'm glad you joined us.
Oh, I love this.
And yeah, good. Then
I
quit
do.
complaining.
I'm whining, not complaining.
And all right, quit whining.
Institution of marriage at play here, folks.
As usual.
As usual.
It's part of our shtick.
Shtick. Our shtick.
Okay, so anyway, thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you again next week. We're hoping to have 2 more candidates for you to listen to next week. I'm not sure quite yet who they are, but I'm hoping they're going to be Monica Rosenthal, who's the only candidate for District 1 we have not interviewed.
Correct.
And also possibly Martin Shields.
That would be an interesting conversation.
I definitely want to be here.
Yeah. So you know where we're at.
Yeah.
Anyway, same time, same place. Thanks for tuning in to LCM-TV.com. And coming soon in our new future, new studios, new programs, new ideas, new broadcast capabilities.
Absolutely.
So stick around, stick with us. We are your Lake County television station. Thank you again, folks, and we'll talk to you real soon.
And thanks, Bob. Thank you, John, for your
does-
stimulating conversation.
When does the absentee ballots get mailed in this county?
They're already,
They're already
it's
done.
already
Yeah.
absentee
May- what is this, May
ballots
10th?
now.
See, June 7th, a week.
No, May this week they
About
started.
Next week, I think.
Yeah.
they go out.
Next
We
week.
just did a posting
I didn't
about
get mine
it.
in the mail yet. Did you get yours?
No,
No.
that's why I'm
No,
bitching
I
about
think,
it. 'Cause
it'll be
It's
before
this
the
week. It
26th,
starts
I
this
think.
week already.
Yeah.
May
Yeah, they should
10th
be
or
coming in your
12th
mail
or
now.
something. It's already
I know mine
started.
will be coming in.
All right, what music do we have?
I'm going to throw out with a last song from Bob Marley. This is from the Soul Rebel album. It may actually cut off all of our audio if YouTube has its way.
Nah.
But this is an independent recording. It's not an Island Records or Tough Gong, so I'm hoping that this one will be allowed. It's a London CD.
This show doesn't get
So.
audio bleeped because there's only minimal music.
Yeah, but
Your show, on the other
because of
hand,
the kind of music I play, which is why they
I
don't
mean, they have
cut it
a
off.
way to.
yeah,
Yeah,
They
they
do.
take
Yeah.
all 3 hours of the audio if I play one song that has copyright on it.
Oh, copyright.
Yeah.
Infringement.
even
Copyright
though she gets music for free from the artist directly.
The artists give me the music directly and
So
tell
we
me
can
to
play
play it,
Hmm.
and then YouTube cuts it out and saying I can't play it. So,
So then you need to get written permission by the artist.
Have
so
you ever
can-
tried to deal with YouTube?
yeah, no. That
No, I see what
it's
YouTube's
not even
doing.
YouTube. It's a third-party
Well, don't you see what
verifier.
YouTube's doing now? Whenever I get anything on Facebook and then it transfers it to YouTube, and then I want to share it, they tried an experiment about a month ago. It said $1.99, and I just filmed it on my telephone, and then I shared
and they're
it from my
trying
phone.
to take ownership of
They're
people's
trying
stuff.
to take, and
Yeah.
it didn't work very well. So I think now you go back on and they're not charging it again. So they're,
Yeah.
you know, all these people, Google, all of them are getting very, 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 very wise and very hip
Yep.
how to make more money and be less I guess, democratic about it. They're
Yeah.
kind of sounding very
So
controlling.
this is an oldie but goodies called "No Water" from Bob Marley and the Wailers from old times,
All right,
in
folks.
honor of the 35th anniversary of his passing today.
All right.
All right, folks.
Time
have
out.
a great one. Peace out.
Bye.
Bye.